live. What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Damn, November 17th, man. It's crazy how fast this year is going by, especially this month alone. But we are here live, y'all, doing as the title says on the screen now, and as it says in the title of this video, this is an MCU Phase 4 review. Now, what does that mean, Elliot? We'll talk about that. Ranking of all Phase 4, the best and the worst of the MCU. So this will be a very fun stream, y'all. I am very excited for this. This is something I wanted to do a while ago, but I wanted to wait till more of the projects came out. And as we know, with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the phase is over. Well, technically, we got one more project in the Guardians, the special that we'll briefly talk about here in a second. But one thing that we will be doing a little bit later in the stream, which I'm very excited for because I've never done one of these before, we will be doing a tier list. We will be doing the first ever MovieFiles live tier list of that matter, but my first time ever doing a tier list. We're going to be picking all the projects. I'm talking movies and shows, and I'm going to share my ranking, my tier list. It sounds weird coming out of my mouth because I've never done one before. So we'll be doing that live a little bit later, and we're just going to have an honest conversation about Phase 4. You know, a lot of my streams I've been hosting last last year or so with myself and Amanda and Chris and a variety of different awesome content creators. We have the projects we love, the movies we've enjoyed, the shows that hasn't hit the mark. So we're just going to take an honest look at the Phase 4 and really pick out the gems and the good and the bad. So this is going to be a really fun stream. And I'm very excited to be here with you all. And depending on how well this goes, we might do more of these in the future. So in saying that, do your boy a favor, hit that thumbs up if you all are having a good time. If you're a Marvel fan and like to marvel out with some Marvel people, hit that thumbs up for your boy. It helps out the algorithm, helps out the stream, and get more of these good conversations going. Also, y'all, if you have a social media account, which I mean at this point we all do, right? Some of us may have left Twitter in the last week or so, but no, if you do have a Twitter, have an Instagram, or the various different social media accounts, hit that share button and I would appreciate it. And tag me in it too. If you're going to share the stream, let your boy know. Tag me in it. I'm at MovieFiles on Instagram and MovieFiles Live on Twitter. So tag me in it, show your boy some love, and let's have some fun discussions. Which, speaking of discussions, this is a live stream. We're not pre-recording this. We're here live in the flesh. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's going to be solo tonight. Again, if I do more of these in the future, like ranking other things, tier lists in the future, it'll probably be with a couple other guests potentially. But it all depends on how well this goes. So if you guys want to, have more fun times, let me know in the comment section on the replay. And of course, those that are watching live, which we got about 15 people watching live, which I appreciate y'all. Again, this is kind of it was the last night that I premiered the stream or set it up. So, and I normally don't go live on Thursdays. So I know some people might be coming in a little bit later or watching the replay, which I appreciate. But yeah, man, I'm very, very excited to be here. And again, just a quick overview. We will be having an honest conversation, me to you, you to me, about Phase 4. We're going to be really breaking down Phase 4 and doing a tier list a little bit later and kind of sharing my rankings with you all. And I hope you all will share yours with me. And we're going to also I have a couple little topics at hand. Like we're going to preview, we're going to talk about Black Panther briefly, not like a review of anything because I have a review on my channel, but we're going to look at the box office and talk about that a little bit for Black Panther. And then we'll talk a little bit about previewing the Guardians special, which I haven't seen, but hopefully I think I'm going to be seeing it later this week. Potentially we'll see what comes of that, but we'll preview that. Then we'll kind of pivot over to looking at phases 1 through 3 and not, movie by movie or whatnot. That might be something in the future that we could do, but we'll just kind of look at the through lines and the good projects, the bad projects, and what led us to ultimately get into Phase 4. And we'll kind of dive into that. And then again, I mentioned earlier, we'll be doing a tier list, the very first one I've ever done. So bear with me when we get to that portion. And then we'll wrap up the stream with just general opinions. So once we wrap up the tier list, we'll just kind of look at how do we feel at the beginning of the stream and how do we feel about the end of the stream. Is Phase 4 as bad as people are making it out to be, or is it one of the better ones? We'll figure that out by the end of today's stream. But before we get into the first topic, which again is the end of Phase 4, the final two projects at hand, let me say what's up to my man Oliver, who's showing some love. What's going on? And then we got my man D Movie Man joining the chat. Appreciate you, man. He's excited to hear this. There has been a lot of overload in MCU content, so there's a lot to choose from and rank. Yes, there is D Movie Man, and we're going to get into that. And shout outs again, my man Oliver and D Movie Man, leaving their thoughts in the comments. And again, guys, this is a live stream, so shoot away. I'm going to try to, since it's just me tonight, As you all may know, if you've watched my previous stream, sometimes it's kind of, I have a guest, have multiple guests, and it's hard to keep up with the chat, keeping the conversation flowing. So now that it's just me, I'm going to try to get to as many many as your comments as possible and bring them up, questions, thoughts, concerns, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to try to get to every single comment that I can in tonight's discussion. So I'm just pulling something up in the back here to make sure we're all good. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm excited for that tier list, man. I've never done one. So y'all going to be watching that live, me doing a tier list. I have it pulled up now, and I'm going to sort through because the way they have, I'll show you guys. Like we'll get to that tier list a little bit later. But we got some other people popping in. My man B. Avery, what's going on, B? Another big Marvel fan. So hopefully, B, you can share your rankings when we get to that portion, man. But shout out to Brandon from Just My Opinion Reviews. Check him out, man. He is last week, man. My man was putting in that work with the Wakanda reviews and discussions and live streams. So definitely show him some love and check him out. Brand, what's going on, man? How you doing, man? Kevin in the building. What's up, everyone? What's up, Kevin? Yes, and hit that thumbs up, y'all. I appreciate that. So let's get into our first topic, which again, the first topic at hand for you all. Let me bring up the end of Phase 4. So as we all know, Wakanda Forever was the last project in Phase 4. So here, let me pull this up here and we'll get this going. And what I want to do, and again, I'm not going to review Wakanda Forever because we have spoiler-free review. I have a hour-long spoiler breakdown. And again, I was fortunate enough to be on some awesome content creators pages or YouTubes in the last week or so talking about this very film. So you guys can check out all that content. But again, we're just going to preview these final two or discuss these final two projects, which let's start off with Wakanda, y'all. Wakanda Forever, which right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw an article that let us know that as of today, they have officially crossed $400 million, which is pretty awesome. If you ask me. I mean, financially speaking, we're at the end of the year. Films don't really pop at November time of the year just because it's that, vacation in and whatnot. So 400 million in the first week is pretty successful. So let me pull up the box office numbers here and we'll just kind of take a deep dive at that. Obviously, if you all do follow the box office, it didn't pop as much as the first one did, but understandably so. That was 4 years ago. We know in the last 2 years, the world has changed on a lot of different levels. So didn't expect it to have that, 200 million opening back in 2018. But I do expect it to hit that Billy. I don't think it's going to make as much as the first one, but I do expect it to make at least $1 billion based on the trajectory of where the film's at now. So let me pull up Box Office Mojo and let's analyze it. Let's take a look at these numbers, man. I'm a numbers guy. I used to love doing box office stuff back in the day, and hell, we might do some in the future. But as you all can see here, let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys can see. And let me move myself out of the way and we'll zoom in here. So like I said, earlier today, it was announced that they have officially crossed the 400 million worldwide mark, which is pretty huge considering that it's not playing in a couple different markets, not huge markets. I don't know if the China thing was figured out because I know China was a little bit on the fence about it, but even with that being out of the way, they still have managed to cross over 213 domestically and over 187 internationally, which again, man, that's not bad numbers if you ask me, with all the different stuff going on with that film, with obviously losing their star and the great Chadwick Boseman. The film was delayed quite a few times. There was some behind the scenes drama with the lead actress, with Letitia Wright, and a couple other things regarding rewriting the script. So, I mean, the film definitely had, man, an uphill climb to say the least. So, I mean, to get that number there that we're looking at on the screen is pretty successful. And based on the next month, there's literally no competition. Like the next big film is obviously Avatar, which I want to say is December 21st. So they literally have a clear path to just dominate at the box office. But the question, and again, not getting too much into a review because I have plenty of those on my channel now with this film, but the question is, will it have that repeat viewership? Obviously the first Black Panther in 2018 crushed it at the box office. Like, I mean, I can even pull that up now. I mean, it did some numbers, y'all, and it did numbers for weeks and damn near months into. I remember when Infinity War was out, the film was still doing pretty good at the box office leading into Infinity War. So, I mean, the first Black Panther, 1.3 bill, 700 domestically, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is top 3 all time, if not top 4 maybe of all time, domestically speaking. I think it's like higher than some of the Avengers films, if I'm not mistaken. But let me see. The first weekend, does it have the? I hate Box Office Mojo. It used to be so easy to use back in the day, but they have definitely. Let's see. Original release. Let's see. Let's see. These are all the final numbers, but I believe, and let me know if you all are watching live, if you remember, but I want to say the first weekend was, oh, here it is. Is this it here? Yeah. Okay. So February, we have 202, 202 opening weekend, man, domestically. That is huge. And then what, 700? I don't think that's right for the first weekend. But yeah, wow. I mean, look at that number, man. That is a huge number. And then their previous one, the last Black Panther, did I think it was 170? Was that the last weekend that it opened at, which is pretty huge within itself. So, I mean, again, guys, I think that Wakanda Forever will ultimately hit $1 billion, but I don't think it'll come anywhere close to 181. That's pretty good, 20 million, which isn't too bad, too shabby, as far as again, just considering all the stuff that the film went through, and also too, you got to take it into account. It's almost 40 minutes longer than an original, which means less screens. And then, again, I do know that there were a couple people out there that didn't see the film for various different reasons. So to make 181, which I believe is the biggest of November of all time, and one of the top 4 or 5 ever for Marvel. So pretty good for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that. And do you personally think it's going to cross $1 billion? Again, I think we can all agree that it's not going to beat the first Black Panther, which was 1.3, but I can see it crossing that $1 billion mark probably before Avatar officially comes out. So let me know your thoughts on all that good stuff in the comments, and we'll kind of pivot over to our last project here of Phase 4, which is the Guardians project. But before we do so, let me say what's up to the homies in the chat. What's going on? What's up? My opinion at the beginning of the stream, Phase 4. We'll get into that. We'll get into that for sure. Ended pretty strong. Yes. Feel like Black Panther 1.5. Well, no, it was 1.3 if you're referring to the final numbers there. Didn't it get made? Yeah, and that's what, which is whole nother conversation within itself. So silly, but yes, it did get. I believe they're still figuring things out with China. If it's not officially not going to be shown in China, but it is what it is. And we know, well, for those that follow a lot of box office, China takes a huge amount of that international box office. So, my man Jay's in the building. We got William saying what's up. We got my man Zach saying what's up. So, guys, again, if you're just tuning in, appreciate y'all. Hit that thumbs up. Tonight will be a full, honest discussion, really diving deep into Phase 4, the highs and the lows. We're going to look at Phase 3 briefly before we do so. And then for the first time ever, we'll be doing a tier list. Your boy has never done a tier list. So I will be doing a tier list with all the Phase 4 projects, and we're going to have a good time when we get to that. So again, thumbs up, share, and this is live, baby. So leave your live comments in the live stream. So pivoting over to the official, like this Black Panther Wakanda Forever was the last film of the MCU regarding Phase 4, but now we're pivoting over to the actual last project, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special. And from all accounts, I think I saved it on my Twitter, but I believe the first reviews were out. I haven't seen the film yet. Hopefully I'll be seeing it maybe later this week. We'll see what Disney does with the screeners there. But I believe they said that some of the critics have seen the film and they are speaking pretty highly about it. Yep, here it is here. So here, let me share the screen with you all. And again, we're not going to dive too deep into the opinions of the buzz out there, but so far it sounds like people have enjoyed it. And I'm not going to click on an article. You guys can do this. This is from MCU the Direct on Twitter, and they have a article about it. But the first critical responses to Guardians is that it's pretty positive, which, let's be honest, all the first buzz of any Marvel project is pretty positive. So I mean, I'm not going to take that with a grain of salt, but I am looking forward to it. I'll be honest with you all. Your boy's a huge Guardians fan. The first Guardians is in my top 5 Marvel of all time, which again, we can maybe do that video another day, like all the Marvel films, but it is in my top 5. Fun movie, emotional movie. And it's a great movie, man. It has a lot of heart, if you ask me. And Guardians 2 took a little bit of a step down. but it's still a fun film. It's probably the best looking Marvel film. If I'm being honest with you, the CGI was so clean in Guardians 2. Enjoyed Ego, played by the great Kurt Russell, and of course all the different things that went down with that film. But again, it just was a step down for me as far as the quality and just the cohesiveness wasn't all the way there from the first one. And plus, too, we all know Marvel likes to crack jokes, but I mean, it was just too many jokes, overload. Everyone was trying to be funny. Mantis and Drax was just become a punchline at this point. But neither here nor there. As I digress, I'm a fan of the Guardians franchise, and I wouldn't say I'm excited for this special, but I'm intrigued by it. From everything that James Gunn has stated in the last few months leading up to the film or to this special, I don't even know if you want to call it a film, but he said that it will be leading into their film, which will be the Guardians 3, which I believe comes out in May. So if I were a betting man, I would assume that, and if you've seen the trailer, you know Kevin Bacon is going to make an appearance. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Gamora, if they tie it into Guardians 3, I believe we'll probably get a hint of Gamora, which from what I remember from when people went to D23 or it was Comic-Con, they showed the trailer there. And like, this isn't a spoiler because it will be in the trailer, but if you don't want to know anything about Guardians 3, maybe push mute for the next 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1. In that trailer, they show that Gamora is now the leader of the Ravengers. So end of the spoiler. You can check back in. So with that being said, I would imagine from what I just said that we're going to probably get a hint of that in the special. Like that's going to be like one of the last scenes. Or I think they've, they haven't really hyped it up as much as I think they should. Adam Warlock will be a part of Guardians 3, and I can see them having some type of potential lead in to showing him, and even the main villain, High Evolutionary, which I believe is the main villain of the film. I believe that's going to be one of those 3 people that I just mentioned will probably have some appearance in the special leading into their film. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. We'll see by next week. I believe it comes out next week, if I'm not mistaken, which again, the marketing has been kind of lackluster for that project. But that ends Phase 4, Wakanda Forever, which again, $400 million at the box office. Again, you can see my full thoughts on that film on the channel. And I believe that will make $1 billion. And then we're going to officially end Phase 4 come next week with the Guardians of the Galaxy special. So let me know how you all are feeling about, again, will the Black Panther Wakanda Forever cross $1 billion? And number 2, are you excited for the Guardians special? And do you think it'll have bigger implications to what we can expect in their final film, at least this iteration of the characters come in May of 2023? So let me know, and we'll move on to Phase 3. 2 and 1, having an overview with that. But before we get into that topic there, let me see what you guys are talking about. We got some people coming in. What's going on, Quinn? My man Zach waving at everyone. Appreciate it, guys. And girls too. It was very emotional. Yeah, it was emotional. Again, I found the first one to be hit more emotionally for me, especially with Peter and his mom and that scene when he's looking at her in space and holding the hands of the Guardians. That scene to me was great. Emotionally, I tear up every time I see that. Guardians 2, the emotion, obviously, we know what happens to a certain character by the name of Yondu, which apparently I read somewhere that he's going to be appearing in the special next week. I would assume it's a flashback based on Guardians 2, but we'll see. But yeah, I like Guardians 2. It's just like I said, I just prefer the first one over the second one. And I think it's more emotionally. It hits for me more emotionally. Top 5 in my Soulja Boy voice. Soulja Boy, tell him. That's what's up. So yeah. Let's go ahead and get into a really fun topic here, which is actually this. And again, this won't be a film by film breakdown of Phase 3, but I thought it would be a good idea to at least talk about how we got to this point in Marvel, as far as the first 3 phases before we got into Phase 4. But before we even do that, y'all, we're 20 minutes in and we got 37 people watching, and I'm not sure how many thumbs up we have, but if we can briefly take a moment to hit that thumbs up. Listen, your boy's guilty of it. I watch a lot of the homie streams. I watch a lot of my favorite content creative streams. And sometimes I just flat out forget. Damn, I forgot to hit that thumbs up button. So I'm going to remind you all, because I sometimes forget. hit the thumbs up button if you can. I think we got 30 of them so far, and we got 37 people watching. So if we can get 7 more likes, I would appreciate it. And also, again, hit that share button, tag me in it if you share it on Twitter and Instagram, and also leave your thoughts in the live chat. So now with that being out of the way, again, we're not going to go bar for bar, movie for movie, project by project, but we're going to look at the films here, which this is, this is phase 4. Let's see, Marvel phase 3. Oh, not 3. Just Marvel in general, cinematic universe. Where is it at? This is phase 3. Here, let me take this down. Here I am thinking, oh man, I got all this stuff ready to go. We about to break it all down. Let me get it set up here. Give me 1 second. Marvel universe. Let me see. We're just gonna take a brief trip down memory lane. Is this the films? Here we go. Cool. I think we should be Gucci. Let me make sure. Yep. All right, cool. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a gander down memory lane, y'all. And again, we're not going to go film for film, but just kind of finding what is the through line in these phases? What is the consistency through these phases? Starting off with phase 1. Let's take a trip down phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what consisted of phase 1? As we know, back in 2008, here we go. What is all this nonsense? Characters. I'm looking for the films, homie. Where are the films? Wikipedia? Anyway, I think we all know what the films are. I don't know why it's not showing it. There we go. So phase 1, y'all. Let me know in the chat. Who remembers where they were on May 2nd of 2008? Let me make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Who remembers, and let me zoom in here, where they were May 2nd of 2008? I don't remember where I exactly was that day, but I know I was in high school when the first Iron Man came out, directed by Jon Favreau, and you guys can see the producers there. This is one of the first 2 projects. This and Incredible Hulk was co-produced by Marvel and Paramount Pictures. So obviously a different landscape because they now have their own studio. But you know what? I'm going to be honest with you all. I consider myself a big Marvel fan, right? I've seen all of the films. I own most of them. I watch the shows. I do live streams about them. I consider myself a big Marvel fan. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to keep it real with you. Your boy didn't see his first Marvel film in the theater into Thor. That was my first time seeing a Marvel film in actual theaters. Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2. I saw all those on what was it, DVD back then? Were Blu-rays out? That I can't remember, but I saw it at home. To put it that way. And the reason I did. Listen, this is my reason and why I didn't see any of these films in theaters, and particularly why I didn't see Iron Man more than anything in theaters. Nothing against Iron Man, but me growing up, and if you all know me, if you've been a part of this channel, this community, you know I'm a DC fan. I love DC projects, and particularly, if you guys can see that logo, that's my guy. Bats is my guy. So I know what I was doing in 2008 as far as what films I was seeing in theaters. Y'all remember what came out in 2008, right? One of the greatest comic book movies of all time, and The Dark Knight. And I saw that film probably 10 times in the theaters. So I know why I didn't see Iron Man, because I was too deep. I'm like, man, I like Marvel, man. I like Iron Man. Growing up as a kid, Iron Man wasn't really as popular as he is now. Honestly, a lot of these characters, Hulk was probably the most popular Avenger prior to these films coming out, but ain't no one was checking for Iron Man or Captain America or Thor, especially in the comic book world. I'm not saying that they didn't have that type of audience, but I mean, they weren't Batman and Superman, and they weren't competing as far as the zeitgeist of when I was growing up, at least. So I wasn't really checking for like that. But again, I saw the film at home after I saw Dark Knight for the 30th time, and I appreciate it, man. I thought Robert Downey Jr. did a great job. I thought they really created a good foundation of what we can expect fast forward to where we are now. And obviously the Hulk has its ups and downs with it. I think it's grown appreciation over time. Iron Man 2, not so much the greatest, which leads us into Thor, which again was my first time seeing a Marvel film in theaters. And then one of my most favorite comic book movies as far as MCU goes, the first Captain America, and then the big one, the Avengers. So again, 4 years later, literally 4 years and 2 days later, we got the Avengers film. So that is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects. 6 projects in phase 1. And for the most part, I think we can all agree that they're pretty solid projects. I'm not the biggest fan of some of them, but overall, a good way to launch your universe, right? So again, we're looking for a through line here of these first 3 phases. And so far, 6 projects, and they're starting things off in a way of building the world. Who are these characters? Why should we care about these characters? It's kind of the biggest thing that we get within this first phase. Iron Man, Cap, Thor, the Hulk, even though it's kind of a redheaded stepchild, but they bring in Mark Ruffalo in with the Avengers. But also, going back to Iron Man, it's setting up something, right? Which is we need a team to defend the world, which is the through line in the first phase, right? Is setting up this team to ultimately take on Loki, which was the main villain of the Marvel universe as far as phase 1 goes. Now we pivot over to after ending the Avengers. And also notice we went from May of 2012 to May of 2013. So we got a whole year without a Marvel project. Keep that in mind as far as the time and space between projects before we get into our phase 4 discussion. A year. So after you end with that humongous, successful nerdgasm of a film and Avengers, you give us a year to breathe, to take it all in, to digest. Man, I love Iron Man now. I didn't even care about Iron Man 4 years ago, but now he's my favorite Avenger, which he isn't my favorite Avenger. That title goes to Cap. But I love Cap. I love Black Widow. We got the Hawkeye in the mix. You know, you're starting to love these characters, and now we got to pivot back to, okay, now that we have this huge event, let's go back to the ground zero and let's go back to why you fell in love with these characters. And that's what we get with Iron Man 3, which I'm not the biggest Iron Man 3 fan. It's probably if I'm being honest, maybe this is another video for the day as far as trilogy goes. I'm not the biggest Iron Man trilogy fan. I personally prefer Iron Man, or at least, RIP to Tony. I preferred him more interacting with other characters in the Avengers films than I did in his own individual films. Not that they were bad, but I just prefer him bouncing off of Cap and Thor and Natasha and all that different stuff. But anyway, the thing that we're focusing on here is the quality versus quantity. And again, we went from 6 projects in phase 1 to we fast forward to phase 2. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a pattern here. 6 projects in a phase. We have a story here. We build up to the Avengers. Now we're building up to, okay, now we have this team that's defending the world, but what happens when we have other global threats, as what we get with Age of Ultron, which Age of Ultron, I'm mixed on that film, y'all. It's things I love about it. There's things I don't enjoy about it. But the thing that I have appreciated about it is, like fine wine, it's kind of gotten better over time. Like there was a point that I loved the film, then I'm like, man, this film's kind of whack. And then it was like, as phase 4 came out, and we'll talk about that, there's certain projects in phase 4 that made me actually appreciate Ultron a little bit more. But let's be honest, at least for me, Age of Ultron was a step down from the first Avengers. But again, it was leading into something. It was leading into, okay, we got to go back to our individual corners. Iron Man's dealing with PTSD with the Avengers. We have Thor dealing with everything with Odin and Loki and Asgard and all that stuff. And then, listen, don't even get me started on Captain America, Winter Soldier. Y'all remember that film? I watched the film pretty frequently, so I definitely remember it. But that film, to me, was when the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to me, showed me that they can get serious. Like that spy espionage, Cap versus Bucky and Winter Soldier was such a intimidating, menacing villain in that film. Like every time he was on screen, it was just like you feared for those characters' lives. So listen, I could spend the whole stream talking about how much I love Winter Soldier, but looking at the quality again, Iron Man 3, fine. Thor: The Dark World, not that great, but if I'm being honest, it has the best Thor and Loki relationship for me in any of the films, as far as their banter, their back and forth, and all that different stuff. Again, not trying to make reviews out of these films, but all the stuff on Asgard was fire. Everything else outside of Asgard, which was on Earth, garbage. And then we hit us with the back-to-back to semi-back to opening up the door to a new character, which again, we get Winter Soldier, Guardians, as I talked about earlier. I love that film. And then pivoting over to a big event film. And also, again, notice the time difference, how much time we get to breathe between these films, lead into the Avengers. And then we meet Ant-Man, which I'm not going to lie, I'm a fan of the first Ant-Man, but I'm not a fan of the franchise as a whole. We'll see what comes of Scott and, obviously Hank Pym and Hope and everything that we get with the next one, Kang Gang all day. But overall, again, 6 projects. Phase 1, 6 projects. Phase 3 or phase 2, but what is it leading into? Behind all these films, we got to remember, it was all leading into the Avengers growing as a team, learning one another, working together, all leading into arguably, and I don't want to say it's pretty obvious, but I think we can all agree, if we've seen all the projects, if we followed all the projects, that phase 3, which ran between, as we're going to pull up here, I think it was 2016 to 2019. Yeah, here we go. So phase 3, y'all. Jesus. I mean, it's not even fair. First off, you open the gates with Civil War. I mean, Anthony and Joe Russo, man, can you let us breathe, man? You straight up put your directing sensibilities, your themes of just kind of what's going on with Cap and the spy espionage and how they handle action into the first, the second Cap film. Then they bring that plus more Avengers into the mix. Civil War is. Can we get the Russo brothers back? Can we get them back? Which I don't know if y'all saw the article weeks ago. If they come back, they say that the next time we'll see them, which we will see them back in the MCU. They said it won't be till the end of the decade. We'll see how long that lasts. Money talks, right? But anyway, going back to this theme here, 6 projects in phase 1, 6 projects in phase 2, which leads us to they doubled it. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 films. So we'll almost double it, 6 and 6, but now it's 11. But 11 films. And the thing again, they double the quantity, but they still haven't sacrificed the quality of these films. Like, there are some really good bangers. Again, Civil War, not the biggest Doctor Strange fan, but I can appreciate the visuals and what Scott Derrickson was trying to go for. We talked about Guardians 2 earlier. I'm a fan of Homecoming. I love it. It's my second favorite Spider-Man film within his franchise. Thor Ragnarok's a banger. Black Panther, cultural phenomenon. Need I say more? Infinity War, fire. My favorite, if you guys want to know, it's my favorite Marvel film. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I don't really care for that. It's kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the Marvel universe, which I get it's an audience for that, but I didn't really enjoy that second film. Captain Marvel has its moments, but ultimately didn't stick the landing for me. But hey, it made $1 billion, right? Endgame, I mean, need I say more? With the last hour of that film is one of the most exhilarating experiences I've ever had in my entire life in the movie theater. And I'm gonna be honest with you all, and this is the capper of phase 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home, Far From Home. The more and more I watch that movie, the less and less I like it. I don't know, man. I know people love that film, and I can understandably why. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio steals the movie for me, and the visuals that came with that was dope. But seeing Peter overseas is like, why are we overseas, man? We've barely seen him in New York. I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of that film, and it plays so weird. It's a much better coming of age high school road trip film than it is a Marvel film for me, and particularly a Spider-Man film. I really don't feel like it's a Spider-Man movie for me. But I know people love it. But anyway, again, man, minus a couple films that I wasn't like super over the hill about, everything else is pretty much solid for me. Like this phase is crazy, man. You got 2 of the best Avengers films, 1 and 2, if you ask me, with Infinity War and Endgame. And then you got Civil War. I mean, Black Panther. Oh man, this was the good old days, right? As they would say, which taking a trip down memory lane, man, that brings us now to looking at and facing the music. And that's phase 4, which we're going to get into here in a second. But let me check what you guys are talking about in the comments as I rant and rave these last few minutes. Let's see. What was the last? All right. So we got my man Zach back when Iron Man came out, said that I graduated high school. I remember always thinking The Incredible Hulk was better than Iron Man 1. Oh, wow. That's what's up, man. I never thought that, but shout out to you. I wanted to let me know, Zach, has that changed over time? Very curious, but I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. Jessica, my first theater, so Age of Ultron, so 2015. So, okay, into phase 3. That's dope. So curious, Jessica, did you before you saw Age of Ultron, did you watch the previous films before going into that, or was this like not only your first time seeing MCU movie in the theater, but was it your first time seeing any of the films? I'm very curious on that. Let me know, Jessica. Shout out to you, by the way. Shout out to all 37 of you all watching live. Hope you're having a good time because I am indeed. Okay, I think I got that comment. Let's see here. Zia, what's up, Zia? I always think Incredible Hulk came out before. Oh, we got another person that liked it more. Interesting. Yeah. So as you saw on the previous chart, it was Iron Man that came out, and then like a couple months later, the Hulk came out. Phase 1 was way better. We'll get to Phase 4. I got some thoughts on that. Do the same thing. Phase 2 should have had Black Widow film. Yeah. Well, obviously not the Black Widow film that we saw. I thought the film that we saw from Black Widow, which we'll talk about here in a second, would have fit better in Phase 3, which it would have fit perfectly after Civil War. That would have been, for me, as far as the film that we ended up getting last year, would have been perfect after Civil War. Let's see here. Iron Man 3. Yeah, and again, guys, maybe I'm having a blast. I hope you guys are as well. And I want to do more of these, and we'll get to the tier list here in a second. But maybe one day we'll do a tier list of ranking all the phases and all the films. But yeah, I would agree with that Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 were probably the weakest of the bunch in phase 2. I fell asleep during Iron Man 3. I've never fallen asleep, even with Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I found to be very, I think when I saw it, I was pretty positive on it because it was like such the hype building around Infinity War and Endgame. I was just like, I love Marvel, man. Give me mediocre stuff. I'm still going to find something to like out of it. But I mean, it's not saying that Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp are bad films. They just don't hit for me. I don't revisit them enough because they just didn't have enough for me. But yeah, Iron Man 3 is an interesting one. The best Captain America say, oh yeah, easily. Winter Soldier and Civil War, best trilogy, best character, best Avenger. Need I say more? For me, I hated Cap and Age. Hate and Cap to me don't need to go in the same sentence. But anyway, William, I hated Cap and Age of Ultron for siding with Wanda and Quicksilver over Tony. Cap's always right, William. He's always right. No, I'm joking, man. Let me know too, William. Who did you side with in Civil War? Were you on Cap's side or Tony's side? And let me everyone in the chat. Let me know whose side you were on during Civil War. I already played my hand. It's Cap all day. Cap can do no wrong. Zach Phase 4 set up a lot. Yeah, for sure. We got the bet facts. We got the. Let me tell you about the Russos. They've given us the best Captain America. They given no disrespect to the previous directors, but it's facts. At least in my mind, they gave us the best Cap. They gave us the best Tony. If I'm being honest, I think the best Tony Stark we've seen is in the Russo brothers' hands. I don't think this is up to debate, but it might be. Let me know in the comments. They've given us the best Thor. Thor's arc between Infinity War and Endgame is the best, and then particularly Thor and Endgame and Infinity War for me is the best we've seen Thor in the MCU, bar none for me. They've given us the best Natasha Romanoff. They've probably given us the best Hawkeye. Well, if I'm going to talk about the positives, they've given us the worst version of the Hulk, if you ask me, but there were some moments. Was there? No, there wasn't. I'll take that back because the first time they did with the Hulk was in Infinity War, and the first thing they did was nuke him. He got his ass beat by Thanos, so they take an L with that. The best version of Vision is probably from the Russo brothers. As you just mentioned, T'Challa is the best version to me in Civil War. I would say, no, I was going to say Spider-Man, but I think Spider-Man's best version of Spider-Man in MCU to me is No Way Home. The way that story played out was pretty well handled, but it was a great way to bring him in. Man, they just do the best. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about the Russos and how much I miss them in the MCU. Agree Phase 3 is the best. Oh, yeah, it's not even close, if you ask me. Why did you say that, Zia? What did she say? Oh, no, I agree with her, Zach. T'Challa was the best. That was the best version of T'Challa in MCU. I agree with Zia. Y'all might feel differently, but I don't disagree with you there. Zia, I think his action fights were the best. Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. Listen, Zia, we're on the same page. Kevin, I remember the thuggish dudes crying at theaters after. I was one of them, bro. Well, first off, I cried at Infinity War. No lie. When Tony or my man Spider-Man, what did he say? Tony, I don't feel so good. And, I mean, listen, bro, that got to me, man. I had two forms of tears or emotions in Endgame. Number one was nostalgia, just seeing all those characters on screen together, like seeing that for the first time. Like, are you serious right now, bro? And then obviously Tony died was pretty sad. New subscriber from, that's what's up. Appreciate it. Thank you. And shout out to Sharon from Pay Away, who I was on her channel. Damn, that was a week ago. We talked Black Panther for like 2 hours, and we talked about movies for like another hour. That was a fun time, and hopefully we can do more of that. Me and Sharon have been talking behind the scenes, and hopefully we can get more collabs in the future for sure. Hey, Thor, come here. Come here, buddy. Let's see here, Zach. So it was physically, I feel this. See, Charisma. Oh, you talking about Black Panther? Endgame was a funeral too. Yeah, Endgame. There's a lot of stuff going on for sure in that movie. Jamie 21 Day will return. Marvel, Form of Glory. Yeah, some bangers there, bro. Daredevil, Cap 4, Thunderbolts. Spider-Man hasn't been confirmed, but hopefully, we'll get that announcement sooner rather than later. Blade, we'll ever get that. Deadpool 3, Elliot 2024 is a year. Yeah, it's gonna be a big year. We're gonna get into that here in a bit because we're gonna talk about Phase 4 in a sec. I'm so hyped for New World. Yeah, it's gonna be some cool stuff going on there. Tony, oh my gosh, you guys are making me. What is going on? Is there okay? Thank you, Jessica. Goodness gracious, these are the comments from when I asked whose side were you guys on during the Civil War. Some Tony fans. We got my girl Jessica representing Team Cap all day. All right, y'all. So we looked at phases 1 through 3. We talked about the end of Phase 4. Now let's just have a brief look at Phase 4 before we do our tier list, which I'm very excited for because I've never done a tier list before. So I am very excited to share that with you all here in a second. But just before we look at it, let's just look at what did it give us? And again, remembering that Phase 1 had 6 projects. Phase 2 had 6 projects. Phase 3 had 11 projects. And mind you, they were all films. There was a couple shorts that they had in there. I can't remember, what was it called? The one-shots, which were part of the, I think they were on the Blu-rays. When you bought the movies, they had like little contained stories. Some of them were better than others, but we don't really count those because nothing like catastrophic happened, right? So 6, 11. Now we're in Phase 4. And right off the bat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies right off the bat on top of so 7 movies and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 TV shows. If my math is correct, 7 plus 8 is 15 projects in one phase. Wow, that's a lot of content, as my man D Movie Man said earlier. Now, would we be complaining if all that content was fire? I don't think so. So the question becomes in Phase 4, did we choose quantity over quality? That's a question I have for you all. And also, we got to remember what Phase 4 suffered from that no other phase suffered from, which is unfortunately, which the world suffered from, COVID, right? There were so many things that was affected by that, from delays to projects being pushed back years, projects being affected in production. And we'll talk about which projects really suffered from that. Falcon Winter Soldier was one of the big ones. They literally changed one of the biggest subplots of that show. So we got to take that into account. But it's not excuses. It's not making excuses. But we also got to keep that in the back of our mind. But there's a lot of stuff, man. And I think we can all agree. Well, I don't know if we can all agree. If we look at the chart here, and we're going to do the ranking here in a second, the films are not bad, and we'll get into it here. I'm going to share my list with you all. We're going to get into the rankings, but they're not bad. They're on par, if not better than some of the, we'll get into which phases are better, but the films to me are on par with the previous 3 phases. I don't know if we can say that about the TV shows, which we're going to get into. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, before we pivot over, because I'm very excited about this tier list. Again, I've never done a tier list, so you guys are going to be watching mayhem in live action. So we're going to get into that in a bit. But before we do, y'all see this little thing behind me? I've had this in the house for a couple months now. That is a movie palette, and then particularly one of my favorite movies of all time, Interstellar. So we're going to briefly talk to and hear from our sponsor of today's video, and I'll see you guys on the other side. But in the meantime, check out this promo for Movie Palette. Movie Palette is a distinct way to enjoy your favorite movie displayed artistically on canvas. Their palettes are carefully crafted by digital artists who choose the dominant color from each scene from your favorite movie. These vibrant colors are arranged side by side in stripes on high quality canvas. The stripes are displayed in chronological order, and the width of each one corresponds with the length of the movie scene. The result is an intriguing piece of artwork that gives you a unique view of the movies that you've seen many times before. Now, if you can't find your favorite movie listed on their website, don't worry, you can still enjoy it displayed on the canvas. Simply tell them the name of the movie along with the year it was made, and they will create a custom movie palette just for you. All right, so there you have it, guys. Shout out to Movie Palette, who is sponsoring today's video. If you are interested in one of these beautiful pieces of art, which again, you can get your favorite movie, your favorite show, and if they don't have it, you just give them the name and they'll make a palette for you. So you can get a discount on Movie Palette. You can find that description or say that link in the description of this video. So again, shout out to Movie Palette, the sponsor of today's video. So, all right, this is the fun stuff. Again, guys, I would love to do this in the future. So again, thumbs up, share, comment, all that good stuff. Shout out to the replay game. I'm going to probably clip this out. So I'm going to do a little intro here, and then we're going to get into the tier list. So bear with me while I intro here. So let's get into it. So what's going on, everyone? Shout out to everyone joining us live. This is a live discussion that I'm clipping out to share with everyone out there. I'm doing my very first tier list of anything. And in particular, we're doing a tier list for, as you all can see, Marvel Phase 4. That includes all of the movies, all of the shows. I'm going to share with you all my rankings. So before we get into all that, thumbs up, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So with that being said, it's about to go down, y'all. Like I said, this is my first time ever doing a tier list, and we're doing it live. So y'all gonna see some fun stuff. This is gonna be a fun one, y'all. Let me get these ads out of the way here. I maybe should have put up an ad blocker or something. But let's get into it. And it looks like they've already created the list, and it seems like some of the projects are not in order. So let me try to get these in order. Does it really matter? WandaVision, what came out after that? I think it was Black Widow. So let me actually get these in order so to just make it a little bit more easier for me to break them down. I think it was Loki, it was What If, then it was any of these? Doing it live. Let's see here. I think this is about right. Shang-Chi came out first. Then it was Eternals. Then it was Spider-Man right here. Nope, Spider-Man came after that. Then at the top of the year, we had that. Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. I might be wrong, but I think I'm pretty spot on so far. Then we had this. I think this is right. Anyway, all right. So from what I understand, because again, I've never done a tier list. I've seen people do them before, but I've never done one myself. But I believe A, B, C, and D are pretty self-explanatory. A being kind of that if we're on a rating scale, for mine, I do out of 5. So it'll be like a 4.5 to, even close to a 5 out of 5. And then you have a B, which is kind of that 4, that 3, 3.5. And then, C is like 3 and below. And then D is obviously pretty bad. And then S is like elite. It's like masterpiece. There's like no flaws. It might have some flaws, but overall it hit the mark. It stuck the landing for what it was pitched to be. So that is the S tier, which is superior, supersonic. I don't know what you want to call S. Just the top of the top, the cream of the crop. So, all right, y'all. Let me get this out of the way here. So we are ready to get into the tier list. And again, guys, with we got 48 people watching live, and of course those watching the replay. Do me a favor, share your list as we go through this. That's the fun part. That's why I want to do this live, to see you guys' list. So I'm going to do mine first, and then I'm going to read your comments at the end and compare our list and see who is the ultimate Marvel fan. No, in all seriousness. All right, so WandaVision. I'm trying to line this up so we can get those stupid ads out of the way. So WandaVision is the first project, and let's just get this out of the way. It's an A for me, y'all. It's an A for me. Reason being, WandaVision to me is one of the few projects, let alone TV shows, that stuck to the original premise of the show. Right? The idea of WandaVision was to explore Wanda after losing her loved one, which was Vision, which, if I'm being honest, building to that was a little rough. We never truly saw them as a couple. They met each other for the first time briefly in Age of Ultron. Then we pivot over to Civil War. Wasn't really romantic. It was more or less like we share a common thing, which is we're kind of isolated. We're kind of the outsiders. So they shared that. She put Vision down. We know how that went in the film. And then we see them again in Infinity War. By that point, they've been together for a year or so, kind of off the grid, not checking in with Cap and Natasha, but they're doing their thing, and then they kiss, and obviously things are broken up due to the children of Thanos. So then we get into this series, and even though we didn't spend as much time with them, the way Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff presented the grief, which is a big theme in Phase 4, is losing what we lost from Endgame, but also you lost a part of yourself throughout the blip. Even if you came back, you still lost time. You still, in some cases, these people lost their loved ones. And she was one of the people that lost someone before the blip, right? So that even hits even harder. So we see the series play out. She's creating, obviously, I don't have to pitch the show. You guys have seen it, but to me, it just stuck the landing with focusing on what was initially given to us, which was a character study who was going through grief, who has went through grief with her family, losing her mom and dad through the Sokovia situation with Stark. And we know how that played out, losing her brother Pietro in Age of Ultron, losing Vision. So it's just like, this girl cannot catch a W, man. So I really loved how they gave us Westview, her creating the dome, her interacting with Vision, the kids, and obviously all the outside stuff, meaning Monica Rambeau. The only criticisms that I have about the show, a couple things. Number one, Pietro, the Ralph Boner joke was so stupid. So stupid. Why would you bring back the great Evan Peters from obviously the X-Men world, and we were all losing our minds with that kind of implied, the X-Men, Magneto being her dad, it's all happening right now, but it didn't play out that way. So I hated the Pedro punchline. Also, didn't like how it was so character focused. There wasn't a lot of wham bam action going on. We got Agatha coming through, it was Agatha all along. It was all building to and then episode 8, I want to say, when we have one of the coldest bars that Marvel's probably ever had, next to Killmonger's line in Black Panther, when Vision is asked, what is grief, and I can't remember off top, but it's like persevering. I mean, that line was just so poetic. And then we go to the finale, and it was almost like, man, this is so different from anything we've ever seen. But then they just kind of gave us what we've seen before, which is the big spectacle Marvel fight in the air with her and Agatha. And it didn't stick the landing for me as far as the finale goes. There were some things that I enjoyed about the finale, but overall, it didn't stick to the same tone that they gave us from the previous 8 episodes. But prior to that, Pietro goofy, silly joke, and prior to the ending not really sticking the landing, it's a pretty top tier show for so many different reasons, some of them that I just mentioned. So that to me is an A on my list. Let's go back to it. So now we are here talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I mentioned it briefly. This show, unfortunately, was probably affected the most from the pandemic. And if you all do remember, this show was the number one, WandaVision, just backing up a little bit. That wasn't supposed to be the first project in Phase 4. It was supposed to be Black Widow, if you guys remember. So again, keep that in mind. The pandemic really screwed up some things, but neither here nor there. We're now focusing on what's going on with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So prior to us doing the tier list, we had a conversation about the project so far, and I mentioned how much I adore, how much I love Captain America, the world that they've built, despite espionage themes and just the seriousness of what's going on with the characters, that this was probably at that point one of my most anticipated shows, just because I knew what it was cut from a different cloth, right? So I was just expecting something just deep, intellectual, some really good stuff, and it gave us that for the most part. But at the end of the day, for me, and I really haven't revisited Falcon and Winter Soldier since it last aired, I still couldn't tell you if I feel like Tony or Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. I really can't. I still don't know why he was hesitant to take the show. I mean, again, they planted in there like, oh, I can't. come behind Cap. What does this shield stand for? Especially when he meets Isaiah. And I get all that, but I didn't think it really stuck the land to really get enough an emphasis on why he was hesitant. And ultimately, what was it that really made him become Cap? I don't think they handled that too well. The Bucky PTSD stuff was fine, but if I'm being honest with you all, and this might sound petty, I want Winter Soldier back. Can we get him back, man? I want the Winter Soldier back because the Bucky, good guy, trying to make a change. I get it, I get it. But goddamn, man, Winter Soldier, come on, man, we need him back, man. And I think Thunderbolts. I think Valentina might give him the speech, the whole brainwashing, train yard, whatever the whole spiel was. I hope that she has a backup plan and we can get him back to those Winter Soldier vibes. But anyway, man, the character stuff is there. But the thing that really sucks about this show, oh my gosh, the damn villains, man. The Flag Smashers, I believe their name was, led by the young lady whose name is slipping me right now. Oh my goodness, they were so bad. And the reason they were bad is because, again, if you all remember behind the scenes, it was supposed to be this chemical that was let loose on the world, and they were behind it, and the chemical was too close to home because, as we know, we were going through the pandemic. So I know they had to kind of it really affected them the most because everything that we got with the Flag Smashers was absolute trash. Carly Morganford, I think was her name, if I'm not mistaken, but all that stuff was just horrendous to me. U.S. agent stuff didn't really have a good payoff. We get Val, whatever. I'm not really, I love Julia, but I'm not liking Val so far. She's really not giving me, she's like the polar opposite of Nick Fury. And it's just like, they're trying too hard to make her like I don't know. I'm not liking what they're doing with Valentina, but neither here nor there. I don't think it was so much going on with that show and it just didn't stick the landing. And I know my man, if Brandon's still here, I know Cap's his boy. He loved when he comes out with his new suit, which I think the suit is, he needs another upgrade for me. And his whole speech at the end with the government just seemed too on the nose and just forced and just, I don't know, man. It had such a good premise and had so much promise, but it just didn't stick the landing for me. So I'm going to put Cap. I'm between a B and a C. Man, I think about those Flag Smashers. Trash. 6 episodes. Trash. Should have been longer. I'm going to put it at a C route. I'm going to C with Captain America, Falcon, and Winter Soldier. It has so much potential, but it just didn't stick the landing. So that's where we're at with Cap, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now that brings us to let me just get this out the way right now. Let me just get this out the way. Yeah, that's right. Loki is my favorite show of the MCU. I did reviews. I did 2-hour live streams. You can watch those videos to really get a more in-depth reason why. But long story short, it's the best produced show. It's the most focused show. It's the best written show. I wouldn't say it's the best acting, even though I think it is the elite of the acting. But I think WandaVision has some great acting. I think some other products do, which we'll talk about Oscar Isaac a little bit later. The acting is top tier, no less. But also the story, man. I'm a sucker for time travel, multiverse, and the whole idea that this is the 2012 version of Loki who hasn't seen Dark World, who hasn't seen Ragnarok, who didn't live through the hands of dying through Thanos, but obviously saw all those events that changed him to the person that we get in the series. I thought was so fascinating. Morbius, him and Owen Wilson's chemistry was just fantastic. Sylvie was fine. I don't hate that Sylvie, like some, I don't know, hate's a strong word, but I know some people don't like her, especially they don't like the idea that Loki was like interested in himself. Like, come on, let's just be honest with each other. If you came across your other self, you would probably be attracted to yourself, I would think, but neither here nor there. Anyway, the Sylvie stuff was okay. But one of the things that stuck the landing for me was that it stuck the landing, that it lived up to the premise of the idea of the show. And I don't think people have really come to realize how big this show is to the MCU, especially in Phase 5. Like, literally, if you think about Loki, it sets the stages for everything we're leading into. The multiverse, we're in the multiversal saga right now. Who do we get introduced to in Loki? Kang, or during that, it was He Who Remains, who defeated Kang, who had the, Goliath and all that. Y'all remember the show. It had Kang. And when you think about the finale versus every single show, even WandaVision, which I just talked about so highly, even that show resulted back to, oh yeah, we got to be Marvel. We got to have an action fight scene and all that stuff. That's the only show stuck the landing when it came to. They didn't do the normal fight, big spectacle, laser beams, end of the world thing. They literally ended their show on a conversation, which is so fire to me. And it was one of the best conversations with He Who Remains, and the whole Jonathan Majors ate up that scene. Loved it. And again, y'all, you have, for those, and not to everyone, because I know people love Loki like I do, but for those that don't appreciate Loki, you're gonna appreciate it come Kang, when he comes into Ant-Man and Quantum. You're gonna appreciate it when we get to Kang Dynasty. You're gonna appreciate it when we get to Secret Wars. This show is the foundation of what sets the stage for what's to come in Phase 5, Phase 6, and also it's a pretty cool tie-in that happens to be from the person that kicked off Phase 1 and being the villain of the Avengers. It only makes sense. So I can go on and on and on about the score by Natalie Holt, which is the best theme of any top 3. I love the score that Legwood gave us in the Black Panther was pretty fire, and there's some pretty good strings and composed scores in Moon Knight. But Natalie Holt's theme for Loki is fire. So from a production standpoint, production, from the direction, the story, the acting, implications, it's S tier. Need I say more? Case closed. Loki, one of my favorites. That brings us to our first film of our tier list, which is Black Widow. Listen, the elephant in the room is the film was 10 years too late, which I agree with that sentiment. I do personally think that the film would have been great in Phase 2, as we talked about earlier, but I also think it would have been perfect, if I'm being honest, especially from what the film gave us. It would have been a perfect film to follow up Civil War. It would have just been great. My issue, and let me just go ahead and put this out there. Yeah, it goes right there. C tier for me. My issue with Black Widow, number one, I don't revisit it a lot because it's almost like the Incredible Hulk in a sense of, it's not that it doesn't matter, because we got Yelena, which I love about that film. We got the Red Guardian, which I love about that film, but it didn't really do anything moving the story forward because it was backwards. It was a story that took place in 2017. So the stuff with oh my gosh, you talk about villains. I can't think of the main villain's name, but the father of Taskmaster, the way that they handled that, she killed the girl, but she still survived somehow. It was just so stupid. And the third act of that film was atrocious. The CGI was garbage. Again, it went back to the stereotypical, we got to fight, and they were fighting in the sky. The idea is cool, but the execution was just handled terribly. But let me get off my negative horse. The film has some good beats. The first half of the film, to me, is intriguing because it hits on those Captain America Civil War vibes, spy, espionage, who can we trust, who's a Black Widow, who's not, what's the Black Widow program, how is it still running, kind of Jason Bourne type of situation. And again, I love Yelena. Florence Pugh is the best thing to come out of that film. I'm very excited to see what the Red Guardian is going to be up to come the Thunderbolts. But at the end of the day, for me, the film did a better job of introducing us to Yelena and introducing us to Red Guardian. And it didn't do a good job of saying goodbye to arguably one of the best Avengers, man. Thinking back on Natasha coming into Iron Man 2, man, just kind of a eye candy type of introduction. But then she ended up kicking a lot of ass in that film, even though Iron Man 2 is not that good. Pretty bad. But, seeing her transition to the Avengers and seeing her in Civil War and Winter Soldier and Infinity War and sacrificing her life in Endgame, I love Natasha. And I thought that the film did a horrible job of saying goodbye to her. I really do. So that's why Black Widow. And again, I don't revisit it a lot because I just find it to be very boring. And it hurts my heart that Natasha went out that way as far as what the film gave us. But neither here nor there, C-list for me. And again, guys, I'm going to get to your comments here, and I appreciate every single one of y'all leaving comments. Again, those that are watching live, thumbs up, share, leave your thoughts and comments. We'll get back to those when we wrap up. But also for those watching this pre-recordedly, leave your list in the comments and let me know how you would be ranking these projects. So now that brings us to What If, Marvel's What If, which for my comic book fans, me being one of them, but I really haven't dove into any of those What If series. I was familiar with the idea, but I never really explored them. I think this show had some really cool ideas. And just going back to what, if my memory serves me right, the murder mystery episode with Hank Pym being the murderer, killing the Avengers was so dope to me. The zombie episode, and I can't wait to get the zombie animated show next year, I believe, is when that's coming out. Marvel Zombies and Thanos being a zombie at the end, and seeing all that stuff is so great. I think the best version of Doctor Strange was in What If. Excuse me. His solo episode had more emotion than his entire first film. The relationship between him and Christine was better than anything that him live action. No disrespect to two great actors, Rachel McAdams and Benedict Cumberbatch. Great actors, but I've never felt the chemistry there, especially in their first film. The second one makes sense because they're literally from different worlds, and I actually kind of like the banter between them in the second film, Into the Multiverse, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I think the best version of the character came from What If. The relationship building was better in What If. And may I remind you, it was only a 30-minute episode. It's probably less than that. And it gave me so much more than a 2-hour movie. So that episode was fire. And then the Ultron taking over. Look, there's 5 episodes out of the 10 that they gave us? I thought was fantastic. But then there's the Thor episode. Then there's the other stuff. It has a lot of good ideas that just really gets me excited for what we can potentially see, because they are out there, the Watchers out there. But ultimately, it did have some stinkers. But at the end of the day, I feel as though What If, and not being a big anime, I don't watch a lot of animation as it is. I lean more on the positives than negatives. And yeah. I would watch What If before I would watch Black Widow. I would watch What If before I would watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. I said it. I've said it, and I mean it. I truly mean it. So that's where I'm putting What If series. Now that brings us to my boy, Shang-Chi, baby. I'm going to go ahead and just get this out of the way now. AB. I'm going to go B. Y'all. And I'm gonna go B. Shang-Chi to me, and I actually, funny enough, I watched this, not even to prepare for this stream. It was just I just wanted to watch it. It was a couple weeks ago. I watched it, man, and that film was so much fun, so entertaining. The first true hand-to-hand action, choreographed action, kung fu in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and for the most part was freaking-tastic. It's not on the Raid level, you know what I'm saying? It ain't Ip Man or nothing like that, but it's for Marvel standards. It was pretty spectacular. That film does such a good job of building the world, of establishing who the 10 Rings were, which I still kind of wish it was dove into a little bit further, but we'll probably have a series for that in the future. But I thought it did such a good job of world building. I thought it did a good job of establishing who Shang-Chi was. It was my first time being introduced to Simu Liu, who I'm a big fan of now, and I'm excited to see what he does, not only with his character, but other projects he's attached to. The Barbie film, which is coming out next year. I'm excited to see what comes of that. But I thought I did a good job of doing that. And when we talk about villains, man, Wen-Wu is that dude. Wen-Wu is the best character in the film. This is my criticism. I hate that they killed him, and also we'll get into some other criticisms. But overall, I thought it had one of the best villains of the entire MCU. Some of the best fight scenes. I thought Daniel Destin Cretton, who's going to be directing Kang Dynasty, who I've been a fan of prior to Shang-Chi, Short Term 12, Just Mercy. He's a great character director. He cares more so about what are these characters about, what motivates them, what drives them, all that different stuff. And his story is pivotal in how he tells his movie. So I'm a big Daniel Destin Cretton fan. Very excited to see what we do with Kang. Direction was solid, but pivoting over to why it's not on the A tier and it's definitely not on the S tier. The film to me takes a huge dip in tone and in quality and seriousness. I'm gonna say it right now, and I said it when I reviewed the film, and I still stand by this. I am not a Trevor fan. I do not like Trevor. Not to the fact that it was a big, middle finger to the Mandarin back in Iron Man 3, but I just don't find him to be funny, man. The concept of a actor, that concept is interesting, but it's just once he gets into the film just becomes like this Disney family it was just over the top of me. I'm not a Trevor fan. And then also when it comes to the third act of the film, I still stand behind Wen-Wu versus Shang-Chi versus Lei Ling, I think was her name. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but his sister. I thought that would have been a better way to conclude it. And I'm talking about a hand-to-hand combat fight with their father. I would have preferred that more so than the dragon CGI fest that we got in the film. So that's kind of my issues with the movie. Didn't need Trevor, and I thought the CGI and the big spectacle angle to take was just a little bit too much for me. But overall, outside of that, it's a pretty good film, man. And I revisit that more so than I do a lot of the other projects in Phase 4. So that's where Shang-Chi lands on my list. So now that brings us down to the Eternals. The Eternals, man. The Eternals, y'all. Hot take. I'm just let that marinate right quick. I'll take a sip of water. Which it was, if it wasn't for the Eternals, I don't know if I'll be drinking this water right now because they provided so much to the world. No, I was rewatching this the other night because, man, I don't think, and this is no shade to anyone out there, I don't think people, I don't want to say people didn't get it because it has its, it has its valid criticisms. But going back to Loki, I don't think people really understand what Chloe was going for in regards to just the humanity of the film. And again, this film does suffer from MCU-isms, like at the third act, which the third act is not bad, by the way, but it does result to the shoot 'em up, bang, bang, big fight, whatnot, which again, Makari fire. But again, the way that they establish the importance of the Eternals and the understanding of Celestials and the understanding of this predetermined type of, you're on this path of making sure that Earth is protected from the deviants, which I'm just going to get my negatives out of the way. The deviants were trash. The deviants are just so bad. They were so bad. You could have just had just the philosophical differences should have been a theme. And the villain of the film was just how, obviously Ajax had different philosophy than what Druid had and so on and so forth. I think they should have just stuck with eternal fights, literally internally, them fighting versus the deviants. But neither here nor there. The film is just so thought-provoking, and I'm a nerd when it comes to, again, I mentioned how I love science fiction and time travel and multiverse. I love a story about just thinking about who are we on this earth? Why is it important? And all that different stuff just to me is just such good talking points. I thought the film did a good job of establishing who they are. Now, on that same note, it doesn't do a good job of connecting to the MCU, which the film shouldn't have to, worry so much about it. But it is a pivotal film. It's literally the foundation of how, Earth was created in the MCU. But the whole, the Celestial being an Indian Ocean, which this theory that's been online that I've seen of some projects taking place outside the 616, I think if that theory is to be true, and we're really in the multiverse and we don't realize it, I think that film might be one of those projects. Is no one except for I think She-Hulk addressed that there's a big ass celestial in the Indian Ocean. It was like on the side of her computer, but neither here nor there, man. I really, really love Eternals. I love what it was going for. I love the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it makes me feel watching it. And listen, I get that people think it's boring and it's too long, too slow. We needed a series to explore these characters. I disagree, but that's the beauty of these films. We can all agree, disagree, but I'm sticking by it, man. Eternals, I think people just like Loki will appreciate the show as time goes by, but it's an A tier for me. Now we get on to Hawkeye. And I'm going to go ahead and just, yep, I said it. It's a D. It's a Disney Plus D for me. Hawkeye had a good idea, but oh my gosh. The idea of Clint Barton, who, we didn't really get to spend a lot of time with. We got him in briefly in the first Thor film. He's, brainwashing the Avengers. He has his moments to shine in Age of Ultron. That was the most we got the time to spend with him, with his family and all that stuff. That was nice. Civil War, he has a moment to shine a bit. But really, and then Endgame, obviously, we know where his character was. But this show had so much that they could have given us with Clint Barton, in particularly, going back to Endgame. The idea of Ronan going around killing mofos because he lost his family. Why do you deserve to be here? Why didn't you get Thanos taking out the different gangs, the cartels, all the triad? I mean, he's taking out fools left and right because he feels like he's doing the right thing, right? He's on his Punisher stuff. Like, I'm the judge, the jury, the executor. Such a good idea to explore what does a Ronin look like after he gets his family back? How does he deal with those demons? How does he deal with all that red blood, all that red in his ledger, as Loki said to Natasha? Man, we spent about 2 seconds on that, bro. We know that he killed Echo. Don't even get me started on that, how they bait and switch that. But she kills his father under the orders of of a person we'll discuss here in a second. Under those orders, he does that. And I love Christmas. I love a good Christmas story. I love a good family story. And that's where I'm going to try to pivot over to my positives. Kate Bishop, positive. Really excited to see when we're going to see her again, which the word on the street is we might see her pop up in Ant-Man Quantumanium. Her and Casey Lane might be friends, might know each other, might become friends in the film. We'll see. I like what they brought with that character. I'm excited for Haley to reprise that character. I love Yelena. I love the banter between those two, and their back and forth was so great. Other positives. I think that's about it for me, man. I thought they wasted the Ronin plot. I thought they completely shafted introducing us to Echo to get me excited about her show, which I am not. The only thing that I'm curious to see is, no offense to Echo, but I'm more excited to see Kingpin, which we'll get into that person in a bit, Kingpin and Daredevil and how that ties into the world and all that stuff. But I'm going to give it a chance because I don't think Hawkeye didn't do a better enough job to get me excited for her. Vera Farmiga, who I'm a fan of, wasn't a fan of what they did to that character. And her husband, who I know is great in Better Call Saul, wasted him. The thing that I will never, and also the LARPers and the fire, all that stuff was trash, bro. I'm sorry. The thing that I will never forgive Marvel for doing, well, two things. We'll get to Wakanda a little bit later, but Kingpin, you just showed me Daredevil, 3 seasons. Fantastic if you haven't seen it. You gave me this menacing, complex, layered individual, Vanessa, in Daredevil. And I couldn't have been happier to hear that Vincent D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox are coming back in the MCU. Very excited to see them on screen again for the first time. You gave me all those years of just great character development, and then you inject them into the MCU. Couldn't be happier. And you bring him into Hawkeye. And I get the whole Hawaiian shirt thing was a callback to one of his first appearances in the comics. All that stuff, the tie-ins to Echo, all that stuff makes sense. But the execution, bro, not good. You have this man ripping doors off of cars like he's powered up. This is a different version than what we saw in Daredevil. This dude is a beast. Ripping car doors off. And I hate when comic book movies, when movies in general do this, when you bring in this menacing or even a hero, you bring in this character that is skilled and just, a very formidable individual. And then you dumb them down. You lower down their power set to match the power set of who your hero is of the story, which in this case was Kate Bishop. And this isn't a male versus female conversation because I don't stand in that park. But the conversation is, how the hell did Kate Bishop, and she didn't go bar for bar, blow for blow with Kingpin, but the fact that she did defeat him blows my mind. And the way she went about doing it after getting literally haymakers to the stomach, to getting thrown around like a rag doll. I don't want to revisit those conversations because I just didn't buy it. Anyway, D+, Disney+, Hawkeye, D for me. So much promise, completely undercooked development, undercooked 6 episodes. It was just, yeah, not my fave, y'all. Not my fave, as y'all can tell. That brings us down to, let's get this out the way. Spider-Man No Way Home. After a year or 2 years or so of just box office failures, I didn't even mention this whole time. I forgot to bring it up because I've been on my soapbox. I'm going to bring it back just a little bit, and I'm going to actually bring it up with this film since we're talking about it. And I'm referring to the box office. So let me share this screen briefly with you all. And I want to do some other ones, but I totally forgot because I've been on my soapbox. But let's just take a look at Spider-Man for a second. Financially, I thought for some reason I thought Spider-Man only did 1.3. I did not know that Spider-Man almost made $2 billion at the box office. I did not know that. This is literally, you're seeing this lot. I did not know that. For some reason I thought they were at 1.3. I thought they capped off at 1.3. I did not know that movie almost made $2 billion, but deservingly so. This film, and then also too, while we're at it, let's just see what the people at home thought about it in regards to the critics, and obviously the Rotten Tomato score for this film, which I believe was pretty high. Let me pull it up here. So Spider-Man No Way Home critically or financially crushed it. Critically, let's see, 93% and 98% audience score. Yeah, box office success, man. That is a huge win for Sony, number one, but also Marvel. And the reason why this is on my S tier, man, I love Homecoming. As I mentioned earlier, No Way Home or Far From Home is an okay film. Again, Spider-Man outside of New York, and I'm not the biggest fan of that film. But this film here had a lot of legwork to do for me because up until that point, Iron Man Jr., can this man, and I'm referring to Peter Parker, or I should say this boy at this point, can he get his own story? Can we see him build based on his own like stuff that he's done, and not off of, okay, we're fighting these villains that are tied to Iron Man. Vulture's mad at Iron Man, and and it ties into Spider-Man. Mysterio was fired from Iron Man, so now he has hatred towards Peter Parker. I like, can we just get a Peter Parker story, please? And it was built off of his story. It was built off of him killing, which, man, they need to bring back Mysterio, but it was off of him killing Mysterio, which tied into this film, the ramifications of that in the first half of the film, the court stuff, the Charlie Cox appearance from Daredevil, which was so dope. See that in theaters. And people like us, we knew that it was coming, but it was still a great reveal seeing him in the MCU for the first time. Then him diving into, okay, what does my life look like after all this stuff? I want to go to college. I want to go to MIT, me, MJ, my man Ned, and living my life. Unfortunately, he goes to Doctor Strange, who's trash. It's all Doctor Strange's fault. The man can't. You telling me this man gets distracted by a kid saying, "Hey, can you do this?" He gets distracted by Spider-Man, but yet this man is a surgeon for however many years. With talk about distractions, you got someone's life in your hand, and you did someone talking to you. Anyway, I don't like Doctor Strange, if you can't tell, at least in the MCU. But anyway, he messes up the spell, and in come the goats, Doc Ock, and my man Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, coming back. Man, this film, and I know some of the criticisms. Some people say when they watch it, and I can agree with it. Obviously, the theatrical experience is like no other versus when you see it at home. Again, it's a different experience. I get that, but the story's still there. The performances are still there. One of the best fight sequences is still there, and that's my Spider Boy into Spider-Man going toe to toe, hand-to-hand combat with Green Goblin, WWF style, power driver through the floors. That fight is so visceral. I love it. Leading to Aunt May's death, leading to him just abandoning it all and just saying the grief, which is a through line through this phase 4. I've lost everything, and it was all due to my mistake. That's a Peter Parker story, man. He always blames himself for the bad stuff that happens to him, man. And just seeing that on top of the grief, and then you put the ice on the cake, and you talk about Hollywood's biggest secret. We all knew that Toby and Andrew were in the film a damn year before the film came out. But again, and this is just a little side note, I don't like spoilers, but I don't like get all up in arms about when people spoil things, because at the end of the day, you can tell me that my man Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the film, that's cool. Okay, how is it executed? And if it was, putting the spoiler aside, the execution still built up that excitement for me, because it was just, even though I knew they were coming, it was how they handled it, man. And it was just like they never left. They just stepped right back into the roles, them mentoring Peter, talking to Peter, while even still managing to have a little bit of their story, what Andrew has been up to, that he's kind of went rogue after losing Gwen, seeing that MJ, and who was trash, by the way, in those trilogies of films. MJ was for the streets, bro. But MJ and Toby figuring their stuff out, and being, I think he said I'm assuming they're married. they managed to get that in there, and then they managed to give you this great nostalgia of the three Spider-Man working together versus Doc Ock. Well, Doc Ock helped them, but working against, Lizard and Green Goblin and Sandman. Oh man, I'll never forget seeing that. That's one of those, like, you'll never forget where you were when you saw Spider-Man No Way Home for the first time. And it's a good movie, man. And again, what it did to me, it gave me a Peter Parker story first. That's what I love about the first half. It's all about Peter. They gave me his story. They showed me the transition from a boy to a man. And then they ended on such, like, and obviously we're going to get more Spider-Man, but just for whatever reason, if they decide tomorrow that they're not going to do it anymore, Tom's done. For some reason, they're bankrupt, and we'll never see another Spider-Man film, at least for the time being. At least this iteration of Spider-Man. It's a perfect ending. It's a perfect ending, man. So I can't speak highly enough about the film, and it has its criticism. I don't want to sit here and act like it's a perfect movie. It has the stereotypical jokes that didn't always land. It has some of the kind of like, wait, how does this? Electro. Some of the stuff is a little bit not as fluid as it could have been. But overall, man, shout out to John Watts, who I've said it before and I'll say it again. Previous to Spider, and I honestly still kind of feel this way, I couldn't tell you what a John Watts film looks like, because I don't think he has, like, we talked about the Russos earlier. We know what a Russo brother film looks like. We know what a Taika Waititi film looks like. We know what a Ryan Coogler film looks like. But what does a John Watt movie look like? Prior to this film, I couldn't tell you that. But in this, in No Way Home, I got a sense of kind of what he brings to the table. And I heard his show that he had with on FX, Old Man. I think that's the title of it, with Jeff Bridges, and I believe he directed like the first 3 episodes, setting the tone for that show. I heard it's a pretty good show. But shout out to John Watts, man. He brought it home. He brought it No Way Home with that one. So that is an S tier for me all day, every day, which brings us to kind of our final run here. And again, shout out to everyone watching live and watching the replay. Thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe. We're going to get to those comments here. I see a lot of them. I'm going to get to them once we wrap up, which we're going to get done here in a little bit. Moon Knight. How do I feel about Moon Knight? I feel pretty good about it. It's a B show for me. It's a B show. Reasons being, number one, come on, man. Oscar Isaac, give that man a damn. I know you can't get an Oscar for a TV show, but if you could, give it to him. Obviously, it's an Emmy. Fantastic performance. I knew about Moon Knight, but I didn't know about like the origins and all. That's why I think, because from what I understand, people that I know that read the comics, I love the character, weren't the biggest fan of the show because it didn't give them what they were hoping for, which, that's another conversation about expectations, about ultimately, okay, that's what I wanted it to be, but then this is what it ended up being, and then criticizing it or praising it based off of what you got. But I understand the criticism about like just the origins of the character was kind of muffled, fumbled for some people that are comic book fans. And again, I didn't know much about them, but I really enjoyed what we got from, and this is crazy coming from me, because I did not, I was like, Steven, man, this dude is a bumbling idiot. This is going to be the first half of the show, is spending time with Steven. But by the time we got to that 6th episode and we thought that Steven died in the the sand dunes or whatever, that it stuck the landing, man, because they built it. They led up to that point. Big fan of Mark Spector and the trials and tribulations he went through, the whole, being a mercenary and what that does to a person. Lila, I believe was her name. I thought she was great, and seeing the first Egyptian hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was fantastic and not force fed. I thought it was organic to the narrative. I thought the emotional moments hit when that episode 5, when we went into Mark, who he was as a kid, and him and his mom losing his brother, and why he created Steven. And again, knowing that Steven was the butt of the joke, the nerd, the weak element of his characteristics. And then you find out that he was the reason that Mark survived his childhood. Was so fantastic, man. And then obviously tying that into Jake Lockley and what that looks like in the season 2, or, hopefully in the Midnight Suns. It was great, man. But if I were to criticize the show, it did result back to such a character-driven story. Arthur Hero, played by Ethan Hawke, was great, and just focusing on these gods and what it means to believe in the gods of the MCU, and belief systems and all the political stuff that it was kind of presenting to the table, and all the different stuff that we got there. It was really setting the stage for something spectacular. But then they resort, they go back to the trope of, we gotta be Marvel. We gotta have these big ass gods fighting in Cairo, which no, like these souls are being sucked out of people, and there's no. It felt so off compared to everything else. So that's my criticism, that it relied on the MCU isms, and then also my biggest issue, not enough Moon Knight. Am I right? Not enough Moon Knight. And also, Steven, shout out to you. Mr. Knight is one of the coolest looking mofos I've ever seen. And come on, man. Obviously, he had his little moment at the end, but the look was so dope. And I just think that the character they gave it to wasn't as dope, with Steven being, a bumbling idiot. But then again, like I said, I just wanted more Moon Knight, and I wanted more of that supernatural. I think it was either episode 4 or 3 when they went to Egypt and they were fighting those mummies. I'm like, and it was like the mummy was ripping off, doing the performance of ripping off the dude's inside. I'm like, that's what I thought we were going to be getting all 6 episodes: supernatural, dark, more horror vibes. But it didn't really give us that. So that's kind of where my criticism lie. But I take the good with the bad, and that good is outweighs the bad to me, which ultimately I know who Mark Spector is. I know who Steven, is. And I'm excited to learn who Jake is. So it stuck the landing for me as far as being excited to see what's coming next. And I thought it stuck the landing for giving us a character that I'm excited to see moving forward. So that's why it's a B for me. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. How am I feeling about Miss Marvel? Man, this pains me to do this. Because the reason I say it pains me to do is I'm putting it in C tier is because, number one, all the stuff with Makala Khan and her beliefs, her culture, her family, bro, the best family in the MCU off bat. I love the banter of her mom and her dad and her brother. I love that family, man. I can't wait to see them again in the Marvels. That was great. The first 2 or 3 episodes, coming of age, kind of that, Breakfast Club type of energy going on, anti-teenager stuff. I'm a big fan of the genre coming of age, so that was just sticking the landing for me. And all that stuff was just so great. Learning who she is, self-discovery, all that stuff. But then we talk about the flag smashers. I can't even remember the name of the villains in this show. Oh my goodness, help me out. Oh, I'll get to Chalib. I can't remember the name of the villains, but they were forced into the show. And you talk about lack of world building, the world outside of the world, all that stuff. It's like, wait, can we explore that more? All the superhero stuff in Miss Marvel was really bad, like really bad. All the human story, the groundedness of the character, Makala Khan and her family, and again, high school, all that stuff that's with the religion, all that stuff was great. Oh yeah, we got to make a Marvel show. That's where it dropped the ball for me. And even the stuff when she went back to, going back to her history with her grandmother or her great grandmother, that stuff was just great, man. All that stuff was great. I'm trying to think of look up the villain's name. I can't find them, but anyway, in the damage control stuff was whack. Red Daggers was cool, but they didn't really explore that. Oh man, it's so much potential, man. But again, character stuff is great because, again, similar to Moon Knight, I'm excited to see Kamala again. I'm excited to see her family again. I can't wait to see them in the Marvels. I think she's going to steal the show. Her and Monica, I think, are going to be great. Hopefully, Captain Marvel can be boosted up with those cool personalities being surrounded by her. And I'm really Nia DaCosta. I think she's a great director. So I'm intrigued by the Marvels. But anyway, it has so much potential, but it dropped the ball with the superhero stuff. Like, to me, that was the weak, like, it was just so weak the way that they handled that stuff. So C list for me. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. All right, we're going here with it. Reasons being this to be for me. I'm a horror fan. I'm a Sam Raimi fan. And I love that they gave Sam Raimi the reins to make a Marvel horror movie, essentially. And it could have leaned into horror a lot more, if we're being honest with each other. But I enjoyed what we got from Sam Raimi and the angles and his, the tropes that he used, or I shouldn't say tropes, but the sensibilities that he has as a director was great. I mentioned earlier, I do not like Doctor Strange. No. But I enjoyed him a little bit more than I did in his solo outing. We also get a little bit of his individual story, which it's a small line, but it's at least it lets you know why he became a doctor. Small line again, I mentioned. He had a sister. He lost his sister. That's why he's a doctor. You know, it's small, but at least I like stuff like that, man. Like, oh, okay, you understand them. The Illuminati scene, man. So dope. Which brings me to why I like this film. Oh my goodness, Wanda. Come through. Come through with your anger, with your vengeance. You're looking for your boys. A mother would do anything for her children, and she killed a lot of folks. Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, bro, stole that movie, man. When she went to the 81838 and stole that body of that version of Wanda, was great. When she looked at Mr. Fantastic and said, "Oh, Black Bolt, what about he can speak? He has no mouth," and then ripping him up like a bunch of spaghetti. Mr. Fantastic taking out Sharon with her own shield. You know, Captain Marvel, her kill was a little bit anticlimactic, but then, oh my goodness, shout out to Charles Xavier, man. That man never gets the good end of the stick. My man got stabbed in the chest in his sleep in Logan. My man got disintegrated from the Dark Phoenix and X-Men Last Stand. The man can never catch a good, can he just like die of natural causes? My man gets his face snapped in half, bro. It's a good film. It's a really good film, man. It has really good pacing. It just gets right into it. But I'm not going to stunt. You know, America Chavez felt just like a plot device. I really didn't care for her character. If I'm thinking about it more, I'm excited to see what they do with her, especially in a multiverse. Where she can hop from multiverse to multiverse. She's going to be huge coming Phase 5, man. But best believe that. But they didn't handle it that well. I wouldn't say it wasn't as. It's kind of that same ballpark as like Echo, like the way that they introduce Echo and how they introduce America Chavez. It could have been handled a lot better. The stuff that didn't really make sense to me was this film is based on the events of what happened from, obviously, and you would want that, right? As far as, okay, the film, it makes sense that we're on this journey because of what happens in this film. But I didn't like how they didn't address literally 3 months ago. Wait, why isn't Doctor Strange addressing what he did with Peter Parker's spell being messed up? Like, why isn't that the main reason why the multiverse is screwed up? Because he screwed it up and he has to fix it. But that, to me, I thought that they missed an opportunity to connect those two stories because he was pivotal. He was the reason. He was one of the reasons why the multiverse was open. So I thought they dropped the ball there. Wong is my boy. He's a new superior, obviously the Sorcerer Supreme. I enjoy Wong, but I thought that he could have been a little bit more. I wish he was more involved in the B plot or the A plot, him and Strange, and substituting obviously Strange in America. But it is what it is. We got her in the film. And ultimately, man, when I think about this film and the idea that Kevin Feige and the crew said how pivotal this was going to be to the MCU, I don't see that, man. Like I said, I think Loki is Loki and the Eternals are the biggest films of the MCU as far as what it means for the future. I don't think Doctor Strange lived up to that premise. Like the multiverse of madness, what madness did we get in this film? I didn't really get the madness besides the 838 being wrecked by Wanda. That was like the only thing, but it didn't have the, and again, like I said earlier, not to be a hypocrite, my expectations and what we got, I'm not trying to blur the lines, but again, the title, Multiverse of Madness, it didn't live up to the title. I'll just say that. But at the end of the day, I lean more heavily on the positives than I do the negatives. So that's why Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness. No, that's why Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is coming in at a B for me. Thor, Love and Thunder. Oh boy. So when I saw the film, I think I gave it a 3.5 because I thought, let me hit the mic. I thought to myself, I don't really care for Thor right now as far as in the MCU. They're using him to kind of fit that narrative of kind of joke. So I didn't take it too seriously. So when I saw it, I was like, I was entertained. I like Gore. I like Jane. I like some of the visual effects, which is, was kind of bad overall, but I liked when they were on the planet and it was like the black and white. That scene was pretty cool. And I like what they were going for in the narrative as far as, Gore losing his daughter and how Jane was losing her life and how they paralleled those stories and how that came ahead. But unfortunately, you have two other hours of just like an SNL skit that just ran too long, man. The film, and this is coming from a Ragnarok fan, which was improv all day, every day, but it was still a better cohesive film to me that had a better story and took itself more seriously than Love and Thunder. Gore, man, that's a missed opportunity because I thought Christian Bale, because he is Christian Bale, he gave me more than was given to him on the script. I felt more for what he was going through than what we actually saw on the screen. And I also, speaking of on screen, Gore the God Butcher literally kills one god on screen, but throughout the duration of the film, which is bananas to me. So a missed opportunity there. And then also Korg, Taika, Ego. Did Korg really need to be in the film? No. And if he was going to be in the film, why didn't you just leave him dead to have Thor have the emotional resonance of seeing his best friend die? But no, they bring him back and make a big joke out of it. The film just was, and this is coming from a Taika Waititi fan. Everything I've seen from this man has been golden. I mean, I'm talking about The Hunt of the Wilder People. I'm talking about What They Do in the Shadows. I'm talking about one of my favorite films of 2019, Jojo Rabbit, the Thor Ragnarok. And I just think he's such a cool, creative individual. The episodes he directed in The Mandalorian, fantastic. But for some reason, man, and listen, I don't know this man's intentions, but every time I saw him interview for this film, it just seemed like it was a joke. Like it was just like, there's this variety thing that he did. It was him. I think it was what's my girl's name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Tessa Thompson. They're like breaking down a scene, and they're like, this is one shot where he literally says on camera in front of millions of people, well, not in the crowd, but obviously it's out there on the internet you guys can find. She's like, wait a minute. Wait, why did you keep that shot in the film? It was like me looking at, there was something weird. He's like, oh yeah, I don't know. It just goes to show you that he didn't have the care and the attention to detail as he did with Ragnarok. It just seemed like it was just like, Thor gets a fourth film. Okay, I guess we'll just go balls to the wall and just do some crazy shit, which they end up doing, which brings me to, I keep forgetting to bring this up, box office thing that I had pulled up and had it prepped for you guys. And I keep forgetting because I'm on my damn soapbox. But what did Thor do? Financially, Thor did 760 domestically or worldwide, 417 internationally, 343. Not bad, but it's a step back, man, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Ragnarok do better numbers? If I'm not mistaken. It was a 760. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Almost 100 million, almost 100 million more. It's almost like 80 million more than that because it's a better film, number one. But yeah, it's a step back, man. Again, I'm not laughing at $760 million, but it is domestic or financially, it didn't do as good as the first one. And then also, if we look at, not that this holds a lot of weight, but critically from the critics as well as the audience, they didn't like it as much. If we look at it here, 64% still, rotten or positive, I should say. It's a rated higher. It's not a rotten film, and it's a 77%. But again, if we look at what came before it, for Ragnarok, 93, 87, I would agree with those numbers. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok on a very, very entertaining level, and also just a good movie to me. So yeah, definitely a step in the wrong direction when it comes to the follow up. And if we're being real, now no disrespect to my dog whose name is Thor, which kind of the reason I named him Thor, because I just thought if you've seen my dog, he's a little Pomeranian Pekingese. I just thought it would be funny to name a little dog Thor, like the God of Thunder. This little dude has so much energy, which he definitely does. But anyway, who would have thought that Thor would get 4 movies, right? Who would have thought it? Out of Captain America, Iron Man, out of the trio, he would have got 4 films. But here we are. And unfortunately, that 4th film lands on, I got to do that, y'all. I got to do that. It's a D. All right. So now that brings us to She-Hulk, which I reviewed on the channel week to week. Shout out to my man Chris and all the various guests we've had, and shout out to all the guests. So I've had guests on all these shows that we covered the last 2 years. So shout out to them. But She-Hulk, man, 9 episodes. I think I'm a little bit more. Let me just go ahead and put it where I think it belongs. Some people might put it a D, an F, all the way to Z. But the reason what I took away from She-Hulk, number one, again, it goes back to what were you expecting from the show? And this is no disrespect to the character She-Hulk, who I wasn't all that too familiar with from the comics, but I knew a little something from, a little something. But I didn't go in with like, okay, I know this character. This is what I expect from this character, and all that stuff. I didn't go in with really close to no expectations. But I came out at the end of the day. I go back to when we talked about WandaVision. What did they tell? What was the pitch? The pitch was a procedural weekly court case and learning who Jennifer Walters is and her wacky, what her life looks like. And I think that the court stuff could have been a lot better. Let's be honest. But I feel like as though they did a good job of introducing me to this character that I would say that I'm not over the moon about seeing again, but I'm excited to see how she fits within the world of the MCU. Let me see how she interacts with like a Deadpool, how she interacts with like a Peter Parker. I thought that the chemistry she had with Charlie Cox in the episode that we got in episode 7 or 8, I thought was good, which was the best episode to me. And not even because Charlie Cox was in it, which was a bonus for me. It was kind of like a bonus more so than it made the episode. What made that episode to me was it lived on the premise. We saw the court stuff going on. Her dealing with the dude that burnt his suit and how that tied into the costumer, the guy that made the suits for him, Jacob, I think was his name. So that episode to me was like, it was a perfect example. Like if someone asked me, hey, Elliot, what is She-Hulk about? What is She-Hulk about? I'll say, watch that episode. And that's what She-Hulk's about. Everything else to me is kind of filler, kind of lackadaisical, kind of ridiculous, kind of not my cup of tea. But again, I loved what Tatiana Maslany did. She carried that show. And it baffles me that show continuously tried to make it seem like these dudes thought that she was like ugly or something. That's so weird the way they kept playing it. But again, they're in LA, so I know everyone's, I guess, a supermodel out there or whatever. But anyway, I thought Tatiana was great. I thought that the finale was so fun. Just the meta nature of them going to Disney Plus was hilarious to me. I never thought the words that I'm about to say would come out of my mouth, that we got Meg the Stallion twerking in Disney with She-Hulk. Can I say that again? Meg the Stallion twerking with She-Hulk on Disney Plus. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but I've seen it. I saw it. It exists. It's real. It happened, and it happened. So overall, man, like I said, I didn't have the biggest expectations, and I had a good little laugh out of the things that I took away from it. Also, shout out to Madison, who give her a spinoff series. I thought she was great. Her and Wong on a multiversal trip. Sign me up, bro. So She-Hulk is a C for me. Werewolf by Night. Let me just get this out the damn way now. Boom. Yeah, that's right. S tier. This goes back to me being a horror fan, but this also goes back to me talking about who are these characters? What are they about? Why do they do the things they do? And within an hour, I got an idea of who Jack is. I have an idea of what drives Elsa in that less than an hour. Mind you, we got shows here that are like 6-8 hours of characters that we're just like, I'm looking at you, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm looking at you, Hawkeye. We spend time with those characters, and I don't feel like I learned anything new about them. But I learned a lot about these characters, and I love the world that it sets up. Obviously, it's kind of disconnected from the MCU, which I was perfectly fine with, and I actually prefer to see that kind of more often than not. Establish who you are first, and then throw us in the ring, right? And that's what I'm excited for. The supernatural's coming. Werewolves, vampires. We got witches. We got sorcerers. Now we're getting more into the supernatural, which means Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Blade, Daredevil, Ghost Rider. They're coming, baby. They're coming, and I'm here for it, man. And also, just from a production standpoint, I thought it was great what Michael Giacchino did, who's one of my favorite composers. the way he captured recreating those old throwback Universal Monsters films from the beginning of the special presentation with the black and white and tearing the Marvel Cinematic logo up. And then again, just the journey we go on with the character, small, isolated situation, one night bottle type of event. It was great. Shout out to my man, Man Thing, who was great as well. And I'm very excited to, correct me if I'm wrong, Elsa. I think her name is Elsa. I'm really excited to get more of her, especially now that she has the Bloodstone, and what that could mean for the MCU. Very, very excited. Overall, that special was special. No pun intended. But now that brings us to, last but not least, Black Panther. Go ahead and it's been a week. Hold on. Let me put this right. Oops, nope, not a D. It's not a D. Can I not put it back? Okay, let me just go ahead and put it. It's been a week since I've seen it. And the more and more I think about it, there's a lot of logical plot holes in the film. And the theme of tearing down the traditions, very Last Jedi-ish, because the more I think about this film, it really just kind of like almost slaps Black Panther in the face of how the rules were established. And I'm someone that likes to muck up things. I like when stories can do that, flip itself on the head, but it feels disrespectful the way that they handle some of the lore that was established so well in one of my favorite movies, The Grief, recasting T'Challa, how they handle all that. Some of the stuff, oh man, Ryan Coogler, performances, the Queen, the death, Namor. They don't call him General. They don't call him King. They call him El Kukulkan. Man, his intro, fire. Score, fire. They made this with a heavy heart, for better or for worse. Oh, man. Where am I at with it, man? Where am I at with Black Panther, bro? I'm going to leave it there for now. I gave it a 3.5. I've only seen it once. I plan on seeing it probably on Disney Plus, because if we're being honest, I don't think it's a film that has that much rewatchability, because it is such a heavy film, and it is a character that I love in T'Challa. It's a my man T'Challa here. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I'm at a B right now for it. But it's a lot of stuff that film does to me that just pisses me off, man. Like I said, Queen Ramona, and if you guys saw my video that I put out the other day, Angela wasn't a fan of that idea, nor was I. And I've seen and I've read the comments, because the video is out there, especially on TikTok. It created a lot of discussions about it. And I see how people feel like it was a way to motivate Shuri and all that stuff. But I still believe that you don't have to kill. For some reason, there's this idea, and it's no slight or knock at people. Some people think that to have stakes in your film, that means someone's gonna die. To have someone, be motivated to become who they want to be, someone's gonna die. I don't think that has to be the case. I don't think they had the kill the Queen Ramona based on Shuri already lost her dad. Shuri already lost T'Challa. Shuri just lost, her nation's flooded right now, right? So I think there was enough stuff to motivate her to get her to the point that she ends up at the end of the film. But neither here nor there, not a fan of that decision. Again, the lore of the film to me just kind of is kind of thrown out of the front door. And this is a lot of stuff that just didn't sit well with me. But again, I go back to knowing what went into making the film, how it was, if I can't even speak, if this was in any other one's hands, I think it would have been bad, really bad, if we're being honest with each other, like really bad. But I think Ryan did some interesting things, took some swings for the fences, struck out sometimes. M'Baku sideline like a mofo. Okoye did the best they could. Nakia, oh my goodness, Nakia Lupita Nyong'o, fire. Didn't do a lot with her, unfortunately. And I still feel this way, man. I don't feel like I give her props. I give her roses. I thought Letitia, she did what she did. She did the best she can, but I just didn't feel like she was the lead of that film, y'all. I really don't. I feel like the Queen had more gravitas, had more of that leading leading atmosphere, had that leading presence to her. I feel like Okoye had more of that presence that I was looking for. But man, you could just tell, man, this is one of the, and again, I got an hour stream on my video or an hour discussion about it, and I got my spoiler-free review. So, it is what it is. This is where we're at. We're at a B. This is the list, y'all. Screenshot it, snapshot it, put it in the books. This is my tier list of Phase 4. Now, to wrap it up, we're not going to wrap up the stream, but to wrap up this pre-recorded portion of the video, and because we got a lot of comments that I see here. Let me know in the comments, y'all, those that are watching this pre-recorded version of it, your list. What do you think I'm crazy for putting there? What do you think I missed out on? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to leave the full feature of this almost 2-hour stream in the description of this video so you can get my final thoughts, which we're going to actually have the discussion about. Okay, now let's look at Phase 4. Check out that video. You all are great. Subscribe, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next video. So, all right, pre-recorded out of the way. Let's look at this Phase 4. What it boils down to me, if we really look at this chart, from my personal opinion, all the below average stuff is mostly shows. Falcon and Winter Soldier, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, Thor: Love and Thunder is a movie, Black Widow is a movie. Films that I thought that could have had a lot. Films that there are things I took away with. Like I said, I love Yelena, love Jane Foster. Thought Gore was a good villain. Should have done more. Thought that it was a good spy espionage going on Black Widow, but just kind of fell short of the premise. And again, we talked about my other issues with those shows there, but it seems to me that it with 15 projects, the TV shows are the thing that brings this phase down. The 6-episode nonsense was crazy because you didn't have enough time with the characters. You didn't have enough time with the stories. You rushed things. You was like, it almost like, oh yeah, we got to throw this in here. We got to be Marvel. We got to fight at the end. That was a detriment to these series. The idea that the shows were almost like movies that were made into shows versus it being a show. Right? That's what a lot of these series felt like, just chopped up pieces of a full-length movie that would just happen to become a TV show. And it shows on a lot of these shows how they were framed. Again, knowing that this is the first time that the MCU has dove into TV making. And again, going back to I ain't gonna sit here and act like Phase 1 and 2 and even Phase 3 was perfect. They're still learning things that you can learn from. And I think that after this Phase 4, get into Phase 5, and particularly on the TV show front, Secret Invasions, Ironhearts, Coven of Chaos, Daredevil, I think those shows will see a huge boost in how they tell their stories, how they frame their stories, how they put an emphasis on the characters and building the characters, and also sticking to keep the story the way it was initially to be told. Like, we don't have to rely on MC-isms. We don't have to wait for the big spectacle fights and all that stuff. Just stick to the story at hand, man. And I'm hopeful that we can get that. But again, overviewing Phase 4, I don't think is as bad as people makes it out to be. But I also can see how people feel like it was a quantity over quality approach. But then again, my rebuttal would be, y'all have to remember, this is the only phase that was heavily affected by delays. This was a phase that was affected by losing an incredible individual in Chadwick Boseman and what Black Panther Wakanda had to deal with. This was a phase that dealt with a show that had a global threat of a virus going around, and the Falcon and Winter Soldier that had to be completely written out because of what the world was going through. This is a phase that dealt with, again, just so many issues from a visual effects standpoint, right? That's one of the biggest things that people complain about with some of these projects, like She-Hulk. Why the hell do you look like that? Why is Thor: Love and Thunder looking like it's made in the 80s? Visual effects, being pressed. Marvel putting the pressure on them. We got to get this done. We got to meet a deadline. So it's a lot. And again, not trying to make excuses, but this is a phase that was heavily affected by a lot of things that wasn't in their control. And with that still being said, we get a Loki, we get a Spider-Man, we got a Werewolf by Night, which I'm very excited to see more of these specials moving forward. We got a WandaVision. We got the Eternals. We got Shang-Chi. We got, a Moon Knight. We got Wanda where I can shop. And again, I can acknowledge some of the bad. But overall, y'all, and we're going to maybe make this a part 2 in the future. This is not as bad as people make it out to be, but compared to the other 3 phases, it ain't up to snuff with those other 3 phases. But again, understanding this is a reset phase. Where do we go after Endgame? Who are these new characters that we're going to introduce? Who is the new generation that we're going to introduce to? Who are these young Avengers that we're going to probably be introduced to? This is ground zero. And what happens when you're building something, you're going to sometimes fall. You're going to sometimes fall on your face, flat on your face. I'm looking at you, Hawkeye. But what do you do after that? You learn from your mistakes and you build from that. So that's what I'm hopeful for when it comes to phase 5 and moving forward in the MCU, y'all. So, all right. Let's get to the comments, y'all, because I know I have been rambling and babbling and missing out on some of y'all fire comments. So let me scroll my ass up and try to get to them. All right. And again, shout out to y'all that's been here for the duration of 2 hours. Oh, and by the way, I Am Groot don't count. It wasn't on the list, and also I didn't see it. I haven't seen I Am Groot, and from what I've heard, I didn't miss anything, and nor did it really play into the story or anything like that. So again, it wasn't on that because that was that tier list was already pre-made on the website. I don't. Again, this is my first time doing a tier list. I don't know how to. I'm sure I can make my own options and put them in there, but again, it wasn't there, and plus I didn't see it, so that's why I Am Groot wasn't on there. All right. So I think I know where I left off at. Shout out to Jessica. All right. Let's see. Cried to Natasha. Stream with Sharana was fantastic. Thank you. I'm trying to see where I started the tier list just to kind of see where you guys was at. Thank you for the sponsor. Kevin with the thumbs up. Miss Marvel came out. Oh, did I mess that up? Miss Marvel? Did Miss Marvel? Okay. I might have messed that up. So, all right. Where did we get into the actual? Okay. I think this is where they started the phase strong with Wanda. Just a drop. Yeah. They started with Wanda. And that was an accident. That wasn't supposed to be the first thing out of the gate, but it landed for me, as you guys saw from my list. Saving Grace of WandaVision was Grief Line. Yeah, that was great. As a matter of fact, let me just to have it up there while I'm talking, just to kind of make sure it lines up perfectly. So that was the list. So let me go ahead and get into these gimmicks. Yeah, that was funny as hell, man. Loki was the breaking my heart, man. Breaking my heart, bro. I'd rather watch. Jeez. Goddamn. Falcon Winter Soldier is a C. Didn't like it. Where did I have it? Okay, it was a C for me too. Kevin, Loki was fire. Yeah, hell yeah, Kevin. Gosh, what did my man Ben say? He would rather watch Venom 2 than Loki. Well, we all don't agree with that. They miss a lot of marks with Falcon. Yeah, a lot of potential, man. Cut from that cloth of Winter Soldier, man. Boring. Falcon Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie. Oh, Winter Soldier is a favorite movie. Falcon Winter Soldier is a C. Okay, so a lot of people agree with me on that. That's what's up. How do or does Venom fit in Phase 4? It doesn't. It's not. It's Sony. It's Elseworld. It's whatever that world is that is ridiculous. So it's not a part of Phase 4. Even though Venom was in Spider-Man, but it doesn't. His films don't count in the MCU. Falcon Winter Soldier was S tier. That's what's up. It was good, so powerful. I'm glad you thought so. It had powerful moments. Isaiah Bradley, everything he went through, but overall, Zemo's dance, But they dropped the ball on that project, man. The goddamn flag smashers, Jesus. Venom and Deadpool and Morbius projects don't really fall. Yeah, correct though. But Deadpool will next year or 2 years from now. MCU villains are always been bad. There's like 4 good villains in MCU. Like overall, Thanos, Killmonger, Namor, or should I say El Kukulkan, Wenwu, Winter Soldier. Come on now. Zemo. Put Zemo on that list, bro. He was probably one of the only villains, him and Thanos, that actually got the job done. Vulture. I'm a Vulture fan. Mysterio, even though I don't like that film, I like Mysterio. So what is it? That's like 7, 8 right there for me, at least. To each your own. But I think there's some, I agree with you. There's probably not as many good villains as there is bad, but I think there's more than 4. They're trying to make her Amanda Waller. They're trying to make her Amanda Waller. They're trying to make her Amanda. Valentina. Shout out to Julia. I like her a lot, but yeah, I don't like her so far in the MCU. Val is more, yeah, for sure. And man, I can't wait to date. I can't wait to see. I was saying I can't wait to see dies. Hopefully, man, when we see her again, maybe I'll like her more. I was blindsided by the hate for John Walker. I need to watch. I don't hate John Walker. I just thought that they dropped the ball on really kind of sticking the landing on what he was going through in the show. But no, I didn't hate him. But I do know people didn't like him, but I didn't. I thought I was very entertained by it. Well, not entertained. I was very fascinated by the story. Introduced Kane, but it was just okay. You're talking about Loki. Oh, Loki was so great. Oh man, Kevin knows what's up. Kevin knows what's up, man. We got some Loki love. Black Widow was a B. Where did I put Black Widow? I put Black Widow as a C. Okay. Yeah, Black Widow just wasn't for me. I'm gonna have to watch Loki again. I was not impressed, but it was okay to me. Yeah, check it out again, man. Especially again, I think a lot of people will go back and revisit Loki once they see how important that was, especially when we see Kang again. Will Loki appear in Ant-Man 3? I would think so. I think so. I believe so. B tier for me, but it's not memorable. Yeah, not memorable at all. Black Widow, yeah, thumb down. Me and Kevin, man, that's the homie, man. WandaVision A, Loki C, Black Widow C. Gotcha, Blurb, gotcha. Wait, I move it up to C based on the other films. Gotcha. We got some D movie, man. Florence Pugh, best part of the movie. SJ was not the star of the movie. Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, 100%. 100%. What if D tier? Oh, no, man. Come on. Zombies, murder mystery, love story with Doctor Strange, Ultron. Fire, bro. I enjoyed this episode way more than both movies. I enjoyed his episode more than both. Doctor Strange. Yes, Jessica. Yes. Loki over WandaVision? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I love WandaVision, but I love Loki more. I got to go back and watch What If. Yeah, man. Like I said, Kevin, just watch those 4 or 5 episodes, and it's fire. It's fire. I can't wait for season 2. Hated the fake Mandarin dude was there. Oh, Trevor. And I hate that he's going to be in Wonder Man with Yaya. I do not like Trevor. Shang-Chi was a good B for me. The world building was great. And Tony, win woo, man. Layered, complex. You understood what he was trying to do, which was just get his family back together. How can you be mad at him? My bad. Second half of Shang-Chi lost me. Yeah, it did for me too. When Trevor got in the mix, I was like, it's a bad decision. Bad decision, man. I wasn't a fan of it. I understood why, because obviously he was connected to the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, but not a fan. Agreed. They should have kept the conflict as the family drama in the whole movie and working towards. Yes. Shang-Chi, yes. Jessica, I have nothing good to... Jessica, come on. It's world building. It's bigger than the MCU. Eternals. It was okay to me. A lot of MCU barely even talks about the blip. William, mother freaking William. Yes. So much opportunity to explore. There's a show, one of my favorite shows of all time. It was on HBO. It's called The Leftovers. 3 seasons. Damon Lindelof. It stars Justin Thoron, I think is his name. Carrie Coon. Season 2, Regina King's in season 2, and oh man, who was her husband? I can't think of his name right now. But listen, cast is spectacular. I don't want to give too much away because I know a lot of people haven't seen Leftovers. Again, 3 seasons on HBO. Watch it if you can. Essentially, what happens in that show, very similar to what happens in Endgame or Infinity War into Endgame. What happens in Leftovers is one day, just a random Tuesday, I think it was 3% of the world just vanishes. And the series explores what happens to a person when your child, who you were just sitting at your breakfast table with, just vanishes and you have no answers. And of course, there's a lot more going into that when you see the series. But I say all that to say this. MCU could explore that aspect of what happened during the blip. We got bits and pieces of it, but a lot of ground they can cover with that. Love the Eternals, Jeremy. You know what's up. Yeah, hot trash. Brandon in the building. Brandon. Hawkeye rules, Kingpin rules. Well, Brandon, my friend, I gotta disagree. I gotta strongly disagree. Kingpin. Now you're trolling, bro. I know you're trolling, Brandon. I know you're just having a good time, man. Adrian, I'm late, but I'm here. Well, I appreciate you, Adrian. I appreciate you. Again, guys, I'm pulling it back from an hour ago, so I'm catching up on all these comments. So again, I appreciate y'all, man. This is a lot of fun. I want to do more of these. Based on how the stream, the replay value, based on the likes, the shares, the comments in the comment section, we might do more of these more frequently. Tier lists, more of these kind of open discussions, and hopefully we can bring guests on to have these discussions, because this is a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. I do not trust the new Daredevil show. Well, we'll find out, my friend. We'll see what those 18 episodes of Born Again. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's great. Kingpin was better in Spider-Man game. Yes. Daredevil Born Again is getting a TVMA. That's promising. Oh, I read that. Yes, that's very promising. Very, very promising. The MCU continues to disservice villains. We talked about this. I gave about 8 or 9 of them. But yeah, as far as Phase 4s go, villain Agatha, I thought was a cool villain. Not menacing, but she got the job done. She, got the Scarlet Witch out of her. Deviants were trash. I'm just looking at the list that I have in front of me as far as good villains. There's really no villain in Loki. TVA, He Who Remains. Yeah. Great villain. Spider-Man has 2 great villains. Doc Ock, but he becomes what he becomes in the film. Has a redeeming factor to him, but the GOAT, Green Goblin. But I guess you can't really count that because that's like another film's villain in the MCU, but I'm going to count it. Ultron was a good villain in the What If series. Wenwu, I've been praising his, performance. Arthur Hero was a solid villain. Not great, but solid. Wanda was a great villain. El Cuckoo Khan was a fantastic villain. Freaking Flag Smashers. And Sharon Carter as the power broker. Trash. Taskmaster. Trash. The Miss Marvel villains. Trash. I don't even know if there's a villain in She-Hulk. Titanium. Trash. Not due to the fact of the actors. They just didn't know what to do with her. I feel so bad for her, by the way. They completely wasted her. Hawkeye. Trash. Thor. Gore. I'm sorry. Good, but a lot to be desired. So 50-50, I guess, on that one, Adrian. They need to put it back into theaters to top that off. I might have missed that. Phase 4 was lackluster. Wanda. Well, again, we looked at it. I think it boils down to the shows really kind of bring down this phase. Spider-Man versus Venom. One day. I think one day. Well, we already got it in Spider-Man 3, but I think we'll see Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland one day. Yes, this felt like an actual Spider-Man movie. Yes. No Way Home was my wrist it all after. Oh, it was worth it. That's what's up. It was a theatrical. It's the best theatrical experience in Phase 4 for me. Hawkeye a D. Yep. Yeah. Damn right. With a capital D. Risk It All movie. Yeah, that was funny. Hawkeye isn't great, but these are his. Oh yeah. No, then again, everyone's been respected. To each their own. This is just my opinion. This isn't factual. This isn't a Bible. This is my opinion. But yeah. MJ for these. Oh, yes, bro. MJ was for those streets, man. Listen, bro. Spider-Man 3 doesn't get enough love. 2007 Spider-Man 3. That film was funny as hell, man. Not talking about James Franco, I'm talking about Harry Osborn. That man had me dying in that film. When he's like eating the apple pie, it's like, it's so good. And the way he looks back at Peter, man, that film is a comedy. If you look at it like a comedy, it's a good film. And also, too, I'm not going to sit here and disrespect some pretty good fight sequences in that film. Peter versus Harry in the streets when he hits him with the what? It's not a great film. But if you look at it from a different lens, you might appreciate it. But yeah, MJ was for those streets, bro. You bugging. Hey, Hawkeye, I'm glad you liked it. I didn't. No Way Home had my life flash. Yeah, man, that was such a good experience. Good movie, really good movie. I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking. Can't stop seeing Tom Holland as a little kid, even in Spider-Man. No, understandable. He has one of those faces, man. E with the puns. I don't remember what I said, but shout out to Kenny, acknowledging the bars. Everyone loves Spider-Man. That is guaranteed money. Oh, 100%. 100%. Let's see. Sony, what does that say? Sony carried the MCU Phase 4. Sony? I don't know about that. I mean, Spider-Man was great, but I don't, that's the only thing that they did. I didn't need more violence, just different violence. I didn't need more violence, just different violence. What violence were we talking about? More violence. I can't remember which topic we was on. Let me know, Kenny, if you're still here. I'll admit at this point, have not watched every Marvel. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. I'll be honest with you. Love Moon Knight, and I love Lila as the Charlotte Scarab. Can't wait to see if they team with the. I hope so. Yeah, that would be great. Great call out. Yeah, I will. That's a great call out. Yeah, I would love to see her. I mean, obviously, I would like to see Moon Knight involved, but bring her on the mix. Hell yeah, I'm down for that. I enjoy Moon Knight a lot, mostly because of Oscar. Yeah, he was great. B, you agree with that? B, yep. Moon Knight episode 5 was what was episode 5? That was a sad one, right? Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, it's tremendous. It was great. It was fantastic. Agreed. Not enough Moon Knight. Thank you. Right? Needed more of them. They treated him like Godzilla 14. They treated Moon Knight. Yes, they did treat him. They barely saw him. Right? Good call, Kenny. I'm not gonna lie. Moon Knight makes me think of Not gonna lie, Moon Knight makes me think of Moon Night. I don't know what that means. Am I missing a joke? Let's see. Miss Marvel was tough. Miss Marvel, yeah. Kamala story, coming of age, teenage stuff, family, great. Superhero stuff, bad, so bad. Miss Marvel should be D. Nah, like I said, the character Kamala Khan, all that stuff was great. That finale was kind of lackluster, man. Had some moments, but it ended pretty badly. Didn't finish it. You didn't have. Well, if you want to understand some of the events that's going to probably shake out in the Marvels, if you plan on seeing it, then you probably should finish Miss Marvel. I'll just say that. I don't want to spoil anything. Well, we got another person that didn't finish it, so I definitely won't spoil it. I only like episode 5 of Miss Marvel. Oh, really? I like the first episode. I like episode 2. Episode 3 is when it kind of went a little bit downhill, but then when we got to her going back to the partition in Pakistan, that stuff is great, man. They wasted. Which actor was that? Was that the dude that played the leader of the Red Daggers? If that's him, I agree with you. Killed him. Oh yes, that is the same guy. I agree with you. He was great. He was fantastic. Miss Marvel's F tier. No Miss Marvel love. Werewolf by Night 5 out of 5 for me. MJ, you know what's up. She-Hulk was the worst project. Let's see. The number one issue with Phase 4 has been the writing. It is irritating that the overwhelming majority of it has been subpar in regards. Same with pacing. I can see where you come from. I think a lot of the issues do boil down to the writing. So 100% agree with you. Making a mess. I wouldn't call her actions vengeance. Am I Wanda? I wasn't surprised to see Black Bolt again as Black Bolt from the Inhumans show. He's great for the role if you watched Inhumans. I did watch Inhumans and I hated it. And I didn't think he was that good at it. Wanda Whitmouth. Yeah. That was great. Yeah. For real with the elder violence. Keep up the great work. Chavez was waste. Oh, America Chavez. I didn't like the multiverse. I didn't like that Multiverse of Madness was about Wanda and not the continuation of Doctor Strange. I can see that, but let's be honest, Jessica. Doctor Strange is trash. So, like, what story do we give Doctor Strange? Now, in all seriousness, what's my man's name? Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordor. Like, what happened with that? Right? We get another 838 version of Mordor. Like, where's the Mordor that was like no more sorcerers, too many sorcerers? Like, where's that character? So I get you in that sense. That's like the only thing that I was like disappointed they didn't continue, because anything outside of that, I don't really care for with Doctor Strange. Maria was a pretty cool captain. Yeah, she was cool. She died pretty anticlimactically, if you ask me, but she's a great actress. I love Letitia Wright. Shauna Lynch. Shauna Lynch. America could have been better with Miss Marvel. Yeah, that would have been cool. Doctor Strange is not strong B for me. I do not like Strange as a character. Wanda's crazy. Love that for her. For sure. Wanda would be loved forever for her portrayal, for sure, man. I loved her in that film. She carried the movie. She made the movie entertaining. I would have been okay with Wanda killing, not killing America. We need her. Trust me. She's gonna be huge. Come multiverse of Phase 5. The writer and Sam Raimi both admitted they didn't watch WandaVision. They only had notes. Interesting. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I would have known that. I mean, based on the show, I mean, didn't they have I thought they did a good job of tying in the WandaVision stuff. So some good notes, I guess. It would have been called Doctor Strange. Wait, it should have been called Doctor Strange 2. Well, Scott Derrickson had a whole different plan involving Nightmare, which would have been cool. Doctor Strange was more like Multiverse of Sadness. Nice. Love and Thunder was trash. Yeah, it really is. Unfortunately, she wasn't using her powers anyway. It would have been called. Should have been called Wanda vs. Strange. Yeah, that would have been a good title. But it would have given, they thought it was a surprise, but us Marvel fans knew that was going to be the turn, that she was going to go heel. The Love and Thunder was a disappointment. Shaking my head. Yeah, man. Let's see here. Love and Thunder. Yep. Love and Thunder is one of the worst films of the year. I've seen worse, but it's definitely up there. Yeah, Valkyrie was, yeah, man. That was, jeez. Which is crazy, because if y'all know some of the behind the scenes, Taika, you would have thought that Tessa would have had a little bit more to do, because she was doing a little bit more behind the scenes, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, Google Taika Waititi, Tessa Thompson, and I don't know his girlfriend's name, but Google Tessa Thompson and Taika and see what pops up. Thor D, Love and Thunder was bad. Didn't deserves a raspy. I'm the only one who loved Eternals. Nope, Blurb. Your boy loves it too, as you can see from my list. We didn't need it. I mean, after you see, yeah, it's definitely not needed. The only thing that it gave us, man, it really didn't really give us anything. So sad, so sad. I mean, who's excited for little Thunder moving forward? I also hated Love and Thunder. My first viewing, rewatched it this week, just for the dumb fun. Enjoyed it. I agree, though, about everything. Korg got old very quickly. Yes, very, very much so. On a good day. That's funny. Oh, man. Can you imagine that, Blurb? Christopher Nolan directing Thor and it being like a straight up Viking vengeance story, like the Northmen or something? That would be crazy. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Werewolf by Night. I was hyped for it since last year, since I knew Gabriel was a powerhouse actor before, and people slept on him. Oh yeah, he's Gabriel Bartel, I think is his name. Fantastic. I can't wait to see Jack again. And I do have a review on my channel for it. And then, as you saw from earlier, high praise for Werewolf by Night. It felt like a big, Phase 4 grades. Oh, here we go. We got some rankings here. Phase 4 grades: A for Spider-Man No Way Home, A for Winter Soldier, A for Werewolf by Night, B for Wakanda, WandaVision B, what if B, Moon Knight B, C, Shang-Chi and Hawkeye. Very, very interesting. In-game Thor had growth. Yeah, for sure. More so than what we've seen moving forward, right? Hell, I was a guest. I don't know what that's referring to. She-Hulk did not even be on the list. Man, the She-Hulk love or lack of love is crazy, man. She-Hulk could be higher than less episodes. Yeah, great point. Oh my gosh. Almost choked. Loki, D, Black Widow. I wouldn't be mad at you for the D. Doctor Strange a D though. Eternals a D, bro. F is She-Hulk and Love and Thunder. Oh my goodness. I didn't know what She-Hulk was supposed to be or is. I didn't even give us what was pitched. It did. It's half of it as far as getting to know Jennifer, but the other half, as far as the court stuff, was very lackluster. The meta one, I don't know. Again, I thought it was hilarious. Went too far. I forgot about Abomination. Jesus. Remember those days when the Hulk and Abomination used to fight to the death? And they were like visceral. Those were the days. Hell yeah, let's go. Werewolf by Night. Yeah, I love Werewolf by Night. Love it, love it, love it. I read all the Werewolf by Night comics, and I thought it was a great homage. Yeah, I haven't read them, but I felt some sense of authenticity. I know little about Jack and how he fits into the Marvel Cinematic or the comic books, and just from my little bit of knowledge, I thought that they did a good job of portraying the character. They made Polanski yeah, they did. We'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, check it out. It's really good. It's only an hour, less than an hour. It needs to be. Hopefully they reshape that script and make it what it needs to be. I hated She-Hulk and Daredevil stuff. Oh, really? Oh, I thought that was the best stuff. Yeah, yes, it was. We got a D for Wakanda Forever. I don't think it was that bad, but I can understand some of the issues you guys have with it. They did Name More Dirty in the end. I've had some discussions about that on various different comment sections, but I'll just leave it at that. El Kukulkan. They used his death to make a buck. I mean, I like to look at people, or at least look at the good in people, and I don't feel that way, if I'm being honest with you. I really do feel like Ryan Coogler and all the actors, was Winston Duke, Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Danny Guerrera. I feel like all of them really did love Chadwick, and they felt as though this was the best way to honor him. I don't agree with it personally, as you know. I stand by it, the recasting the character, and obviously we know what happens in the film, and we'll see what comes of little Prince T'Challa. But I don't think I really think they thought that they were doing the best they could and honoring their friend. I really do feel that way. But E-Man said this, and I definitely agree with him. You can tell this film was made with love, right? But you can also tell it was made on a heavy heart. And sometimes when we're grieving, we don't always make the best decisions, right? So yeah. Anyway, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Werewolf by Night. What if WandaVision? Is this it's just like your order of the films? Appreciate it, William. Really solid list, man. Let me see if there's anything I disagree with. Moon Knight would be a little bit higher for me, in Loki as well. But good list, no doubt. I wish they would have waited until 23. Yes, I agree. My man Justin in the building. What's up, man? What did I miss? We were going in, Justin. Hopefully, if you got time, you can watch the replay, my friend. But it's been a long 2.5 hours, but a fun 2.5 hours, man. I gave it a 6 initially, but after hearing what Angela said about Ryan killing her character and dropped to a 4. Yeah, again, I don't know if you guys saw the little short I put out with her comments on that decision. Spoiler for Doctor Strange, for WandaVision, for Wakanda Forever. They killed the queen, and his rebuttal to that was, Angela, listen. Let me stop my Ryan Coogler impersonation. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. But he said that his reason for doing that was he didn't really get into the reasons, but he said that the decision really boiled down to, we can bring you back. Was one of the things they said. There's a multiverse. There's what happens when you pass away. You really don't pass away in the Black Panther world. So I thought it was just dumb, because if you're just going to bring her back, just don't kill her in the first place. But some people disagree. Some people feel like it was a great moment for the character. Shuri, I don't think it was. It's Ryan Coogler, y'all. Man, Phase 4 was dealing with trauma. Yeah, a lot of trauma. The fact that they killed Angela automatically gives us a C. Wakanda Forever, we'll see. I think Angela will, but I don't know if the film will. I don't think the film will get nominated for like a best picture like the first one did. But I can see Angela getting supporting cast, and then obviously Ruth Carter winning for her costuming, led with score for sure. Namor and the Queen were the leads in the film, 100%. Yeah, I did that, Justin. I rewatched it recently, man, and it's just like, Taika, what were you doing, bro? It seems like Letitia Wright broke out of character mourning over. It feels like she broke out of character. Well, again, and again, I talked about it earlier. They made it with a heavy heart, and sometimes you need to process things and not always jump right back into work. Because I know that's how some people grieve, man. What was I watching? It was something I was watching. I don't remember, but anyway, man. We see it within Black Panther, right? Shuri just dove right back into work because she just wanted to get her mind off of it, and I think that Ryan Coogler and the team behind it did that same thing. And unfortunately, sometimes when you lean into that heavy heartedness and that sadness and that grief, it doesn't always come out. Sometimes you can get some great stuff out of your pain and trauma and stuff you dealt with, but sometimes you need to maybe take a step back and really, really, really reevaluate things. I wanted more from AO. I felt the set her to be more face. Oh yeah, the set her. Yeah, for sure. She deserves so much more. That actress is great too. So I agree with you. And if I were to make a sandwich out of that crap that they gave her in the film, which was just 2 scenes, and then that scene with her and Anaka was just like, come on, man. I think they're going to set up a series. I think we're going to end up getting one of those announced series from Wakanda. It will be the Midnight Angels. I think she'll be a part of it. Oh yeah. Can't anything Captain America. The more I rewatch Wanda, the less I enjoy it. That's crazy, Justin, because the more I rewatch it, the more I love it. The problem with Wanda is the end. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Netflix shows were better. I think for the simple fact that the first 3 seasons of Daredevil is elite. The Punisher first season was elite. Season 2 was okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you. And even the bad ones, which was Iron Fist, season 1 and 2. Season 2 was better than 1, but it's still pretty bad. Season 2 of Luke Cage was bad to me. Season 1 of Luke Cage was solid until they killed off a certain character. What else did they have? Jessica Jones was great. Purple Man was the villain. David Tennant, he was great. And season 2 wasn't that good. So, but neither, they're just Daredevil alone is better than most of the Disney Plus shows. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil are my favorite Marvel shows. I never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I tried to watch it, but I just couldn't get into it. The Eternals is a C. Shang-Chi is an A. Oh, Justin, you're killing me, bro. I agree with you with Shang-Chi, but I gave Shang-Chi a little bit of a B, but not Eternals, not a C. We got my homie in the building. I enjoyed Phase 4. I agree. Quantity over quality. Yep. What's going on, Shelter? How you doing tonight? How you doing? Yes, should have been. And I think I'm catching up here. Oh no, I still got like 30 minutes. I'm behind. I'm gonna read them all because I appreciate every single one of y'all. Question: if Wakanda Forever ends Phase 4 and Black Panther or Ant-Man 3 starts Phase 5, where does the Guardian special fall next month? Phase 4. Yeah, it's the end of Phase 4 regarding the films, but it's still Phase 4 as far as the Guardian special. Yeah. What is S? So S is the elite, the superior, the top of the line, number 1 edition. So it's like the best of the best. And by the way, this is my first time doing a tier list. So I had a lot of fun. Again, for those watching the replay, that was a fun time. And I'm going to put time codes in this video once we wrap up here. Venom might fit into the MCU at the end of Eternals because the sword at the end of Blade made a cameo. Venom might make it to the MCU at the end of it. Venom might fit into the MCU at the end of Eternals because the sword at the end when Blade made a cameo. I might be missing the connection there because the sword, the blade. What is Black Knight's sword name? It's like an Excalibur type of thing. I can't think of the name of it, but I don't think it has ties to Venom. But hey, you might know more than me, William. Yeah, a lot of greatness out of that. Can't wait for Mac and yeah. Oh, that's a good double date. That's a good double date that I would like to be a fly on the wall for. Yeah, Hawkeye should be at least a C. I missed the mark. Being focused on Hawkeye, but Kate Bishop was a fun character. Yeah, no, for sure. But Kingpin, Disrespect, Echo, Waste, the LARPers, some say sweatsuit mafia, Ronin not tying that up, Vera Farmiga, that plot with her boyfriend, silliness. Leftovers was phenomenal. Jeezy, you know what's up, C. Really love the discussion. Look forward to more. Thank you, Justin. I love discussing things that we discuss on this channel as well. And shout out to Justin, man, who's been on the channel as well, talking Marvel, talking House of the Dragon, and hopefully we can have him on again in the future. Doctor Strange is the villain in No Way Home. Yeah, he's one of the villains because he's just an idiot. Thank you for the live video and tier ranking. Very fun discussion. Thank you. Also forever upset. Also will forever be upset with Hulu. I never saw Hulu or never saw the MODOK series, but I heard it was good. I heard it was really good. The writers and the villain. That's a good one. I wonder how much the Falcon TV series it changed. A lot. Yeah. No, they took out. That's why I think the Flag Smashers got the worst of it. Yeah, I like Multiverse of Madness, man. Yeah, that's what I think they were going for. Sony also produced Morbius. Not sure. I would say they carried the MCU. Oh, that was for that comment earlier. Yeah, Multiverse is C-level. That's why they mishandled the fallout of the blip Wandavision. Some great stuff here, man. Again, I appreciate every single one of you all joining us and dropping the fire comments and the questions and all that stuff, man. You guys are awesome. And again, thumbs up, share, comment, keep commenting. We're going to wrap up probably another 10 minutes. I'm just trying to catch up to these comments, which I love them, man. You guys are awesome. Enjoyed the Phase 4 discussion. I would like to see one for DC movies. Oh, would you, Brand? If I did a DC conversation, we might be here for 24 hours, bro. But maybe we'll see how well this video does, Brand, because I would like to do more of these in a DC conversation. Oh man. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Aaron says, no more Atlanta, man. I'm gonna miss you talking about it, man. Aaron, yeah, man, this is Thursday, which is coincidence. Atlanta will be on right now, right? Yeah, I'm gonna miss it, Aaron. I'm gonna miss those discussions. I'm gonna miss the episodes, miss the show in general. I put out a video yesterday, my top 4 seasons. I might do my favorite episodes of all time. I might do a favorite cameos of all time or favorite cameos in the show. So I got a couple more videos that I might make for that show. But yeah, I'm going to miss it, Aaron. I'm going to miss those discussions, man. What a show. What a show, guys. Let's see here. You guys got your way. They recast the child to 7 year. Yeah. Listen, all I'll say, and I said in my video, build that little man up. Don't just have us be like, hey, here's your cake. Here's your recast. You better build little Prince T'Challa up to be a formidable potential leader. We'll see who's going to be the king next or queen next time we see it. I'm assuming it's M'Baku based on the ending, but build that little man up, man. And actually, it's gonna be an interesting video. I thought about something that might be an interesting topic for this character in particular that I might, not like a long form video, just like a little short video that I'm gonna maybe put out to the world. We can bring her back so no one dies in the child. Yeah, some really weird stuff going on there. Severance was about not dealing with grief. Severance is one of the best shows this year, and I can't wait for season 2. Yeah, Eternals all day, baby. Purple Man is second best behind Thanos. Purple Man's fire. I loved him. The Ebony Blade. Thank you. I think I'm catching up. Oh my gosh. I'm going to check out Bones and all next week. I didn't check your review yet. Before I do, is it worth seeing in theaters? Is Chalamet season? Yes, Aaron, if you get a chance, check out my review for Bones and All. For those that are curious about what that is, the new Luca Guadagnino coming of age horror road trip movie about two individuals, Taylor Russell and Timothée Chalamet, who are cannibals. And they come across each other and try to find who they are as people. Very good movie, to answer your question, Aaron. And I definitely recommend people to check it out when it comes out next week, if you have the stomach for it. And what I mean by that is it's pretty gruesome. But yeah, really good film. Check out my review if you get a chance, Aaron. I like Eternals. I do as well. I'm hoping for Eternals animated series. That would be interesting. Very interesting. I'm ready for a DC discussion. Let me know when and where. Oh, DC is coming. DC is coming. Henry Cavill's back. Superman is coming. We got Matt Reeves and my man Robert Pattinson in the building. We coming, bro. DC, we are here. So excited, Justin. Love the live. Would love a DC one. Oh man, you're making your boy get some ideas in the head again, depending on how well this video does. Depending on the my literally Thor just almost pushed the table down. Dude is crazy. Yeah, depending on how well this video does, we might be doing more of these in the future, which means like this video, which means share it. And then more importantly, when the replay comes out, do that again and again and again. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. So yeah, I would love to do this again for sure, especially for DC. Also ready for DC. Come on, man, y'all. Listen, man. It only takes one of y'all to say I would like something in the DC world, but the more and more y'all say that, the more I want to set it up. But again, it all depends on the interaction with this video. But also ready for DC ranking. I need some more recommendations on what's worth watching. Thanks again. Thank you, Kevin. I always appreciate the conversations, man. What are you doing, Thor? Jesus, such a it's a wreck, man. Just finished the first 2 episodes of 89. Yeah, Tim. Hope you enjoy it, man. Very good show. I got to finish the last 2 episodes because they only said the first 6. That was a good suggestion. I'll definitely pull up on a DC discussion for sure. I was really hoping we get to see T'Challa and Storm marriage and having a son. That would be show. Keep an eye out for a video, Antoine. I might have something for that. At least a discussion, at least. Guardians of the Galaxy special next week. Yep. Sure is. Man of Steel, Suicide Squad 2, and Peacemaker, best show in DC. Great. All that stuff is great. I couldn't agree with you more. I love Man of Steel, love Suicide Squad 2, love Peacemaker. So, yeah, W's across the board. 2 hours and 40-something minutes later, y'all. This was a lot of fun, man. I had a blast. I hope you all had a blast. I hope to do these more in the future. Seems like DC might be the next topic we might tackle, which, I could talk DC for hours, man. But yeah, man, listen here. Thank you for tuning in. Viewers here, second one or 10 minutes in or an hour in or just popping in now, I appreciate you a lot. This was a very fun discussion. I'm going to probably piece out the ranking and put it up as a separate video over the weekend just to kind of see how people feel about my rankings of these shows and movies. And again, y'all, I'm going to say it again, man. I would love to do this again for some other, not only DC, maybe some Star Wars, maybe some horror films, some comedies, dramas, do more of these ranking discussions, having more of these topics moving forward and having guests join us. That's something I would love to do, especially not just rounding out this year, but moving into 2023. I would love to do more of these. So again, if you all enjoyed yourself, if you all had a good time, if you enjoyed the discussion, agree or disagree, whatever the case may be, hit that thumbs up. Matter of fact, let me see where we're at with the thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up, y'all. That shows me as a creator that this is something that's worth investing time into, because again, I love y'all to death. Y'all are the dopest people on earth. I love this community that we're building, and I take this channel very seriously in regards to how much I appreciate the support. But it doesn't come without sacrifices, man, and one being time. So I would love to spend more time with you all doing these type of discussions, but I have to, it's like a job. It's like anything in life. You got to see the return on investment. So the more you guys interact with this video, the more I will plan to do more of these in the future. So again, by interacting, it's hitting that thumbs up. By interacting, it means sharing this video. By interacting, it means leaving comments after it plays, right? So we can do more of these, and I would love to, but show your boy that you want to do more of these. That would mean a lot. But anyway, man, final comments, and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to get some food in his belly and take this dog out because he is wilding the F out. Damn, Christmas special out already. Next week. Yep. Silk TV series on Amazon. Yep. Spider-Man coming to TV world, or returning to TV, which would be interesting. Man, being from DC, DC is in my blood. Zach, we bleed the same colors, bro. I love DC. Night out, everyone. Peace out, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you, Justin. Until the next one. Hit those thumbs up. Couldn't have said it better myself. Hit that thumbs up. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you. Just gotta you gotta do a Severance episode breakdown on the season. Hey, I got a little tip for you. Got a little inside knowledge. I have episodes. I did a recap of episodes 1 through 7, and then I did a breakdown of episodes 8 and 9, and then I did a 2-hour live stream for Severance. So check it out. And little birdie told me that expect a lot of Severance coverage next year, if the show drops next year, which I think it will. So keep an eye out for that. Peace, William. Think of it as your own special presentations. Dope. All right, y'all. Y'all have been awesome. Y'all have been dope. We'll see you next time.